All right, welcome on into another episode of Oh So Curious. Well, DCU Daily on Oh So Curious. We've got a lot to talk about. As per always, we're going to get into, well, some news from the world of the movies. That's why we're here, including, of course, all the Superman news you can rely on. We're going to overwhelm you today because we have literally anything and everything we could possibly get our hands on. And even then, I had to leave a little bit of the London Superman tour stuff out of the way because we got to, save something for tomorrow, of course. Not to mention, we're going to get into, of course, the Odyssey trailer leaked online because now that Jurassic World is playing in theaters, they're playing a special teaser trailer for the Odyssey, but only in theaters because, Christopher Nolan. But people went and shot video of it, put it up online. We'll get into that. We do have a poster for the Odyssey to talk about. Ironheart wrapping up its run today as we speak on Disney Plus. So we'll talk about, what was the point of the show at this point, and also it might have been better than people expected it to be. So we'll get into that. We'll get into why Megan 2.0 flopped. We will give you John's review of F1, and also are there sequel plans over at Apple from what is arguably their very first hit movie that they've put out in a movie theater. So we'll talk about that. We will look ahead to Jurassic World's box office weekend with the holiday weekend coming up at July 4th in the US. Of course, we have a lot of Superman promotional stuff. We have some stuff about Batman. What will her costume look like? Will we get the iconic blue and gray costume in the DCU? James Gunn said something about that. 10 Days to Superman, as Man of Steel Magnolia is in the chat saying that. So welcome on into everybody who's already watching. We got Caleb in there, enterprising. More of you guys coming in as the show goes on. We have John on the show to do that, all the talking. I'll chime in a little bit along the way. But to get things started, let's hit that Ryan Gosling intro, of course, star of the upcoming Project Hail Mary, and get the show started.
It doesn't seem to matter what I do. I'm always the number two.
All right, mister, I need to paint my abs on to get nominated. You don't see Robert Downey doing that.
You're kidding.
You're
kidding. I can't open the envelope without the...
Warner Brothers is heading back into the Matrix with a new movie in the works.
Wonder what other surprises are in store.
I want to be Bruce Wayne.
I like that. You're gonna love me.
There's the shot right there. That.
Okay, we don't need to see chords.
Right there.
You look ridiculous.
Well, not no more, he don't.
What, dude? I can barely understand you. Your accent's insane.
What
Give me a hand up. Nope, I'm actually okay. Thank you very much. Oh, wow. Wow.
All right. What I forgot to mention is also Tier List Tuesday, and we are actually, going to be tier listing potential replacement directors for the DCU upcoming movie Batman: Brave and the Bold, because we want to figure out, in case Andy Muschietti does drop out, which is looking more and more likely by the day, that he's not all that interested in the movie. Who else would we bring in to direct the film? I mean, not us. I mean, obviously, this is going to be James Gunn and Peter Safran's job, but maybe we can make it a little bit easier by giving them a short list of options, and maybe, we'll list them in a tier, as it were. And so that's what we figured we want to do with Tier List Tuesday today. But before we get into any of that, we've got a bunch of news to talk about. As I mentioned before, we also have the Running Man and the Cat in the Hat trailers to discuss today. So we have that and so much more. And to do that with me, as always, let's bring on in John. How are you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good. Unfortunately, the day was kind of crappy. Kind of woke up a little bit later than I should have, but still, overall, good day. Had a good day. I propped Dylan Hollis back up again. He was kind of leaning last few days, so I'm like, let's prop him up. I don't have a lot of stuff in the background that I could use. I just have my garbage chair and then my poster. So I'm like, I'm trying to give something for people to look at. Maybe I need to instead of a chair there, I need to put a table for something, and maybe I could put something right here. So
yeah. No, I mean, it's so cool. I mean, hey, look at mine. Let me show you. There's let's see, how do I do this? There's an empty chair back there, actually two of them. Then I've got all my technology spread out everywhere. I got a laptop there, a couple of laptops there. There's another laptop there. There's a laptop hidden behind me. There's all these computers basically. I've got a lot of screens, but oh, hello, Glimmercast. Hello, how are you doing today? Hope all is well with you. A lot is going on in the world of the movies. So we're going to talk about all of that today, of course. Liz and Bridget, we will have them back on next week, actually. Both of them busy this week. I'll see, maybe we can bring Bridget in this week. No guarantees, but Liz for sure will be on for Superman, talking about the movie next week. We are all going to see it on Tuesday. So we'll have a non-spoiler discussion on Tuesday show. And then, of course, on Friday, we'll do a full spoiler chat. But hey, guys, while you're here, hit that like button because we do appreciate that. I just want to say hello to a few other folks in the chat. You got Enterprising in there. Hello. Caleb. Enterprising was the first one to join in. Of course, Caleb is here, like you mentioned before, John, or you brought that up. Man of Steel is here. 10 Days Till Superman. Mr. Gonzalez also reminding us we're only 10 days away. Frankie G is in the chat. And we've got Steven in the chat as well. Steven Ortega, how are you doing today? And of course, we mentioned earlier, the Glimmer cast is here. So everybody's joining in. I'm sure more of you guys will, get into the chat as the show goes on. So the first thing we got to do, and we have a number of topics from the world of Hollywood news. So the very first thing, as we usually do on news, whenever we get a chance, we talk about the box office. So let's start by talking about this upcoming weekend's box office, because Jurassic World Rebirth is the big movie of the week. It's landing not this Thursday, but tomorrow, or by the time you finish watching this show today, on this Wednesday, because it's a special 4th of July early release. So they're going to start releasing it on Wednesday, since, they anticipate that some people may not be watching the movie later in the weekend because they have other plans, or, they give them more days to watch the movie because people will be off this Friday. So Jurassic World Rebirth, John, we're going to get into the critics and Rotten Tomatoes score in a little bit, because we did talk about it yesterday. We kind of have a list of where does it rank now amongst the rest of the franchise. But in essence, as you can see here, they're saying the movie is set to go off with some major July 4th fireworks at the box office. So, there was a tracking initially suggesting that the 5-day opening weekend from Wednesday through to Sunday was looking at somewhere between $100 to $125 million, which for 5 days is not bad at all. Over the course of the 3 days from Friday to Sunday, the normal opening weekend is going to be closer to $100 million. But look, the previous 3 Jurassic World movies all have grossed $1 billion a piece. This movie in particular cost less than the previous movie to produce, with $225 million before marketing. So that's a lot less than what they spent on the last one. Obviously, they brought a lot of high caliber, I guess is a relative term, but the OG cast back. They had a really big cast for the last movie, and it was also the third movie of a franchise. So everybody's paychecks, with the regular folks that were in the franchise, with their third movie being Bryce Dallas Howard, Chris Pratt, their checks, paychecks were probably a lot higher. So now that they're starting out with basically like a soft reboot, like a requel, if you want to call it, I'm sure that, they've been able to save a little bit of money there. Not to mention, of course, you still have, Oscar-winning Mahershala Ali, and of course, award-winning Scarlett Johansson and Jonathan Bailey, who's coming up on a lot of big projects right now. So when it comes down to the numbers, specifically the worldwide numbers, because domestically they're still tracking for roughly 125 million. Worldwide, it's going to get loud, John, because it's potentially going to be as much as $260 million over the course of the Independence Day stretch. That is around the world. Of that, of course, roughly half of that potentially comes from North America. But the movie also drops today in Hong Kong, UK, China, Germany, Korea, Spain, and Italy. What are your thoughts on this? I mean, look, we went over the Rotten Tomatoes rating the other day, and it's not exactly a passing grade, as it were, but it's still clearly looking to get off to a really big start. 260 million is nothing to scoff at. That's one of the biggest openings of the year. Are you surprised this movie it's that review proof that it's still going to do as well?
Yeah, that's not surprising at all. I do think it's review proof, because literally every sequel, quite literally every sequel in this franchise outside of Jurassic World, has been very poorly reviewed and very poorly very poorly reviewed by critics and audiences. That's what I was trying to get at.
Yeah.
But people still go see him.
Yeah, I mean, look, Mr. Gonzalez,
garbage, but dinosaurs.
Yeah, there you go.
They'll still
Good or
go see
bad,
him. It'll make a billion.
and Glimmer Cast is still going to go see it too. Yeah, that is true. I mean, you guys in the chat are a really perfect example of the fact that you can go see this movie just to watch the dinosaurs eat people, which I guess we'll have to see just how much of that is actually in the film. But Steven, to your point, what is the Rotten Tomatoes score for this movie? Well, let's talk about that for a moment, shall we? Because while it's looking to open to 125 million domestic and 260 worldwide, which would be one of the biggest openings of the year, like we talked about yesterday, John, the Rotten Tomatoes score isn't particularly impressive. I believe yesterday we talked about the score had dropped from 54 to 52%. So this is a little outdated, right? Because we were looking at 54%, and now
No, I think I think it went from 58 to 53, and then it's now back up to maybe 54.
Let me actually pull this up right now. Let's see if I can find it. It's 53% right now. With 100, as of right now, when we're doing the show, I just checked the website. It's 53% for with 139
reviews. Or else
reviews.
people won't believe you.
You know what, guys? Okay, fine. Well, we could do that. Let me figure this out. But yeah, the Rotten Tomatoes score is 53%, and that's not particularly impressive. You jumped the gun there, John. I'm still trying to figure this out.
There we go. I got it faster than you did. There we go. 53. See, right here. This is live footage right now. Now, because it was originally at like 91 reviews. Now it's at 139 reviews. So more and more critics are like, this sucks. So don't go see it, but people are going to see it anyway.
Yeah, 53%. It's not even a passing grade. But I mean, look, here's the thing. This is not the first time, right? Like, we look at this other article again. The highest rated Jurassic Park movie ever was the OG, the original movie from 1993, with 91%. Every movie since, outside of the first Jurassic World movie, none of them have had, what you would call certified fresh scores, because 72% even, I think, I guess that you could call that certified fresh if there's a certain, like, they go off of total number of reviews once, and then they certify it. But Jurassic World Rebirth, The Lost World,
sorry guys,
it's all good. Jurassic Park 3, Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, Dominion was really bad. That was the last Jurassic World movie. But you can see none of these movies have particularly impressive Rotten Tomato scores. But the last 3 Jurassic World movies all made $1 billion. So clearly, it does not matter the score. You guys are going to go see this movie regardless. That's exactly. Enterprising is putting it perfectly. I mean, assuming audiences will be in the middle for this film, some like it or not.
Yeah.
I mean, the question is, like, again, are we getting anything new? No. Like, but people still go to see the Fast and Furious movies. Like, apparently we're getting another. The last one, maybe, what was it, 2027? Vin Diesel said. We talked about it yesterday. It's just people. It's one of those things. It's a comfort thing. Like, it's a comfort food in a manner of speaking. So yeah, people like still watching, dinosaurs eat people. So yeah, why not? And it looks like that's exactly what this franchise is going to continue to give us. So there you go. And yeah, whether it looks like dog water or not, Caleb, it's certainly looking to make a shit ton of money, and that is a very technical term. So with that in mind, we'll just have to wait and see how well it turns out. You guys let us know in the comments down below. Will you go see it on this opening weekend? Will you go see it tomorrow on opening day, on Wednesday, or are you going to go see it later in the weekend? I know some of you guys watching live, you are going to go see it for sure. Tony just joined in saying, with Dom meeting Doc and Marty. Yes, that's how the Fast and Furious will end. And then that's how they will time travel back to a time when Brian O'Connor was still, running around. Although technically Paul Walker's character is not dead in that universe, which is why Vin Diesel keeps talking about bringing him back. But anyway, I digress. You guys let us know what you think about Jurassic World Rebirth. Right now, we have to switch focus because now we're going to go from the world of dinosaurs to the world of Marvel superheroes. So, John, of course, as a lot of you guys probably know and are aware, or may not have chosen to watch, the new show Ironheart, soon to be old show Ironheart, is airing its final 3 episodes tonight. So we're not going to get into the spoilers there. There are some spoilers out in the, because obviously,
everybody dies.
Plus,
they all die. The
people,
entire MCU
talk about it. So, yeah, we won't get into that today. We'll talk about that, how the show ends tomorrow. What I did want to talk about, though, I saved this from yesterday's show because we had so much to talk about on yesterday's show as is, and we do today as well, but I can't sit on it any longer, is Ironheart, certified fresh and Rotten Tomatoes, John. After getting review bombed and everything, and then they reset the score, it's finally, certified fresh, sitting with an 86% score with 75 reviews. And not only that, but I think we had some comments regarding this. Anthony Ramos, talked about how, hey, the negativity surrounding the show, despite the fact that the score keeps climbing. He just said, look, that he believes that they're doing something different. It's not it's not formulaic like some people were saying. His quote was, everybody's going to say whatever they want to say, but at the end of the day, we know what we made. We are proud of what we made. And when you are the first of a thing, well, not necessarily the first, but we are different. Hey, at least they're talking about it. So I guess Anthony Ramos is like, look, hey, at least people are talking about it, good or bad or ugly. We're in the conversation, which, you know what, quite frankly, Disney definitely tried to bury the show so hard that I'm glad that at least some people are talking about it. Enterprising, for example, you're going to see the last few episodes later on. I myself will do the same. And then when you look at this other article I pulled up, it's been confirmed that a spoilery article character will play a spoiler actor will play a spoiler character in the long-awaited MCU debut. So
John Malkovich is actually playing Stiltman.
Beware, this is the spoiler. Of course, it's been a while coming, and people have been speculating that Sacha Baron Cohen is going to be playing Mephisto. It looks like that is indeed the case, that we do get that in the show. So Mephisto kickstarts the momentum of a show that too often gets bogged down in the box-ticking emotional backstories and half-baked explorations of the potential ramifications of AI. So one of the reviews kind of gave it away. So there you go. We do get Mephisto in the show. You have been spoiled, but I did warn you before I got into it. So, John, all of that, let's kind of bundle it up. I want to get your reaction. It's certified fresh. People still seem to, some people, not everybody, some people still seem to be, just ragging on the show, saying it's formulaic, it's something original. Anthony Ramos says, look, what we're doing is different. Of course, they were teasing Mephisto of all the shows that you could have possibly imagined Mephisto debuting in between WandaVision and Agatha all along. Somehow Ironheart seemed to be the right place for it. So your thoughts on all of that, and obviously just the fact that Disney kind of almost tried to bury this thing. 2 batches of 3 episodes, it's here and then it's gone. Well, and it seems like Disney just wanted to get it out of the way so they could keep focusing on the Fantastic Four. What are your thoughts overall on Ironheart?
I mean, if it's a good show that lives up to the character, because I know she's kind of more of an underrated character in the comics. So I think if it does that, then awesome. I still don't really care. I mean, no offense to Ironheart or Dominique Thorne or anything like that. But it's kind of interesting because it's like Sacha Baron Cohen as Mephisto. I was like, I'll believe it when I see it, and you know what? Apparently, it happened. So it's just like, out of all the things for him to appear in, this is definitely not the thing I saw. But it does have like some magic aspects, like with Anthony Ramos as the Hood and all that. So it's like, all right, cool. I can't imagine he'll be back because it's Sacha Baron Cohen. I feel like he's like, I don't want to say he's too good. It's just like, I feel like he's just too famous at this point. Like he's too much of a wild card, I feel like, for the MCU. So like maybe that's exactly what they want. Maybe he'll be back. I don't know. Again, it's kind of a I'll believe it when I see it kind of thing. Because again, it's just like, it's sort of like a weird choice. But for the people that liked it, I'm glad. I won't be seeing it. Nothing against the show, as I said, but
you want to get into spoiler territory? We have a Instagram group where Anthony sent me this. That's what he looks like.
So he just looks like a normal human. Okay, cool.
Apparently.
Wearing a suit.
Yep. Very much Sacha Baron Cohen. I wonder if this was like one of those things where they literally just was like, all right, we're going to give the people what they want situations. And it's like, John Krasinski, here you go. Like, stop talking about it now. There you go. You got it. I feel like it's that kind of a situation where Kevin Feige was like, okay, we're going to give it to you and then we're going to move on. And if it is, then yeah, I don't think we're going to see him again. But yeah, guys, let us know what you thought about Ironheart. Of course, if you have already seen the final 3 episodes, let us know in the comments down below what you thought about it. We will get that comment and we'll bring it into the Q&A session later on this week. Were you surprised to see, considering the quality of the show, as if you go by the Rotten Tomatoes score, is relatively high, and yet it seems like Disney and Marvel just wanted to kind of bury the show and move on, and they dropped all the episodes, all 6 of them, over the course of just 2 weeks. Was that the right choice? Do you think this character deserved better? Do you think the show was good? Let us know in the comments what you think about that. And right now we're going to move on to talking about the Odyssey, because, well, Christopher Nolan is working on this new movie. It's meant to be epic because it's based on an epic, and the Odyssey is set to come out next summer, basically just about this time next year, and in the summer of 2026. So with it being a year away, you would imagine there is no way we're gonna get any kind of a trailer or teaser. But I know over the weekend we got like a poster. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But today the big news was, John, that they were playing, or they have started to play, a teaser for the Odyssey, a movie that hasn't finished filming yet. And yet, because Christopher Nolan films everything in camera, so you end up in a situation where I guess you could slap something together relatively quickly because it doesn't need a lot of VFX work necessarily. I mean, not saying that he doesn't use any VFX, but they put together a teaser, which is meant to be a theatrical only teaser playing in front of Jurassic World, because of course both of them are Universal Pictures, and Universal's biggest movie of this year is Jurassic. The biggest movie next year is going to be the Odyssey. So they probably felt like this was the right time to attach a teaser for the Odyssey, even though it's a year away. But Christopher Nolan, being a lover of theatrical only experiences, I'm guessing he mandated it and Universal agreed to it. The idea that we want to keep this theatrical only. So the only way you get this early teaser if you go to see the new Jurassic World movie. Well, it turns out, normal people had different plans because they leaked the trailer online, because it was like somebody shot it with their iPhone and then uploaded it. What I did see is pretty much everywhere, X, Reddit, anywhere you could find it, copyright notices took it. It's all taken down. I haven't been able to, find a copy of it. I don't know about you guys, but we do have some a bit of a description of the footage, because before it was taken down, people obviously kind of got a chance to see it. I mean, yeah, it was on Instagram too, but like everywhere it's being taken down now. So yeah, what we do have though is a description of the footage. So this is from Variety. I saw this across all the different trades. It's a 70-second teaser. It includes the first footage of Tom Holland's Telemachus, who asked John Bernthal's character, "I have to find out what happened to my father. When did you last see him? I know nothing of Odysseus, not since Troy." Bernthal responds, "Interested in rumor, huh? Gossip? Who has a story about Odysseus, huh? Some say he's rich or some say he's poor." And then the line continues. "Some say he perished, some say he's imprisoned. What say you? The words 1 year from now, a journey begins appear on screen." And the teaser ends in the ocean as Matt Damon's Odysseus is revealed to be stranded on a wooden raft. That's all we get in the teaser. Obviously, it's a little over a minute, so you can't really give away much. But yeah, John, your thoughts? Would you like to get your eyes on this teaser anytime soon, or are you just happy to wait out the movie for another year?
I'll just wait for when the teaser hits online or is in front of a better movie, because I like Nolan. I'm not paying money to see Jurassic World just to see a trailer and then head out. Although I've considered it in the past. I considered doing the same
Maybe
thing.
use one of your AMC A-list ones. If you're not planning on seeing 4 movies in that week, you could just
Maybe.
and then out. But yeah, what I found kind of was I don't know. My mind kind of drifted. It says the teaser ends in the ocean as Matt Damon's Odysseus. I was like, Matt Damon was on these Oceans movies. Anyway, sorry. See, this is where my brain goes. But hey, we did find out that there's obviously Charlize Theron is in the movie now. We know this, but we found out the character that she's playing, and we also got a poster leak over the weekend, John. So this was the poster that we got over the weekend. Let me see if I can find a better version of this. There we go. Very much like the Oppenheimer poster, except in blue, and obviously slightly different imagery. But your thoughts? Defy the Gods, 7/17/2026. It's clearly a teaser poster. It doesn't give away a whole lot, but they do tell you it's shot entirely in IMAX film cameras. Were you impressed by this poster? I mean, it looks pretty there's a lot of negative space. It looks pretty basic.
It looks kind of like the Oppenheimer poster, but instead of like the bomb, it's the statue. That's kind
right there. Exactly. Side by side comparison, right? That was the first Oppenheimer poster too, by the way, when that came out. This was the first Tenet poster. This was the first Dunkirk poster. You see Interstellar, Mankind Was Born on Earth. It Was Never Meant to Die Here. The Dark Knight Rises. A Fire Will Rise. Inception. Your mind in the scene is the scene of the crime. The Dark Knight. I remember that one. Why So Serious? The Prestige. Wow, that is pretty cool. Batman Begins. Insomnia. These are all the Memento, all the first posters following the very first movie Christopher Nolan worked on. The very first posters of all the Nolan films compared side by side. As I was mentioning, though, Charlize Theron in the movie, she's talked about it recently on a red carpet event. And yeah, it looks like she's playing in the Enchantress Cersei in the movie. Of course, we have had a Cersei in DC's Creature Commandos, which is based on the Greek mythology Cersei. So known for her magical powers and often described as the daughter of the sun god Helios. So yeah. Steven, to answer your question, this teaser won't be released online. Yeah, look, here's the thing. As of right now, we don't know, but usually what happens, oh God, what is that ad? I just noticed that bug ad on the side. Usually what happens is the trailer will get put up online officially by Universal. They just probably wanted to give the movie an exclusivity period, like having the trailer only be in a movie theater for a little bit. I think they did that with Superman, but it didn't last for more than a day or two because, again, that leaked. And then James Gunn was like, fine, I'll just put it out there. So I don't know how much longer they're going to be able to hold on to this. For all we know, we might be looking at it tomorrow. So yeah, maybe you should all go and reread the Odyssey, the Iliad, the Odyssey before you go see the movie. I don't believe he's adapting it word for word, but if there was anybody who's going to do a close adaptation, it would be Christopher Nolan. Of course, his last movie was an adaptation. So if you read Oppenheimer, the book, and then watch the movie, it will probably give you a better idea of just how close this is going to be an adaptation of the book itself. So yeah, his movies posters have always been fantastic. I love all of it. It's artwork, like you can get a big poster print, hang it on your wall, get it framed. Steven asking, John, what's your snack tonight?
I had a chicken parm before.
Nice. All right. Well, that's cool. Well, you can see here in the photo, Matt Damon put on a bit of a six-pack for the movie. John, are you impressed by the 54-year-old actor's physique?
Yeah, I mean, steroids will help.
It's not just
look at that transformation. It's like, wow, it's almost like he has a lot of money and pay for a personal chef, a personal trainer, and a personal gym to get that physique very easily and very quickly. Also steroids. So, so impressive.
Well, I'm just saying, it's not like you take the pill.
To do it easily.
I understand that, John, but it's not like you take the pill and all of a sudden the muscle pops out of your, your chest. It's just, you gotta still put in the work. Obviously, yes, it's the studio is gonna help you get there too. They're paying the money for it, but yeah, I mean, he looks great for his age, and for the movie, he's never really done something like. I don't think he's done something like this for a long time. Obviously, he was in the Bourne franchise, but I saw him shortlist very often. But John, I don't know if you talked about this. They did a little while ago tell us who all of these A-list actors are going to be playing in the movie. Of course, we know Matt Damon is playing Ulysses. Tom Holland's playing Telemachus, the son of Ulysses, and then Anne Hathaway we know is playing Penelope, the wife who awaits Ulysses in Ithaca. Zendaya playing Athena, the protector of Odysseus. Charlize Theron, I just mentioned, is playing Cersei. Benny Safdie is playing Agamemnon, who's the hero of the Trojan War. Lupita Nyong'o is playing Clytemnestra?
Medea?
No, Clytemnestra. Okay, Queen of Mycenae and wife of Agamemnon. So there we go. There's that. Caleb calling you out. You sound jealous, John.
Well, yeah, of course I'm fucking jealous. Because it's almost like he has like all the money in the universe and could do whatever the fuck he wants with it and have this righteous six-pack. And it's just like, well, I fucking try to work hard every day and no, can't get there. So, oh well.
But you know what, Lucy making a good point. It still takes work, right? I mean, I'm saying give him some credit. Yes, there's a lot of extra resources available, but it's kind of like that whole Iron Man versus Iron Heart thing, right? It's apples and oranges, but still, like he's got to put some work in and a lot of time, and he's traveling a lot all over the world. He still has a family too, like he's been away from for months on end filming this movie. So yeah, but hey, we don't know yet who Robert Pattinson is playing or who Himesh Patel, Mia Goth, and Elliot Page are playing either. So we are yet to find out, but there's plenty of time for all that news to come out because this movie doesn't drop till summer of 2026. But yeah, guys, let us know. We have officially got a trailer hopefully on the way, a teaser trailer currently playing just exclusively in theaters behind. Before you watch Jurassic World, if you're gonna go see that movie in the movie theater, you will see the teaser trailer for the Odyssey play ahead of it, a 70-second teaser trailer looking ahead to the movie coming out next summer, a year from now. And of course, the first poster is out. That also was leaked, but you guys let us know if you had a chance to see that teaser trailer, what you thought about it. Are you looking forward to the Odyssey? I'm sure a lot of you guys can't wait. I personally can't wait. It's a Christopher Nolan movie. He's one of my favorite filmmakers. So you let us know in the comments down below what you thought about it. If you got a chance to see that teaser online before it got taken down, let us know what you thought it was all about. Because of course we have a description online from the various news outlets. So with that in mind, let's move on to the next story. We have to talk about how Megan 2.0 went from being a promising sequel to a movie that came out of nowhere a few years ago to now basically one of the biggest bombs of the year so far. And it looks like it's not going to get any better for fourth Megan 2.0, because you've got Jurassic World coming, Superman coming, Fantastic Four coming. Every measure of box office success is that it was potentially going to have, it's missed the window opportunity to have that now, because F1 kind of blew it out of the water. The first movie came out in January or in the early part of the year. This one comes out basically in June. Variety put together 5 reasons why this movie, the sequel, couldn't match the success of the original. I imagine the release timeline is one of them, John. So I wanted to quickly just go through a few of these reasons and then get your take on it. So one of the things that they mentioned is that this was a gimmick that didn't extend past the first film's 100-minute runtime. Like, people just weren't interested in seeing this be expanded. Like, they took a big risk here, kind of doing what Terminator Judgment Day did with that franchise. The release date I mentioned, right? The first movie came out in an early part of the year during the winter time. It didn't have a lot to compete with. Megan 2.0 comes out at a time when Lilo and Stitch is on its way to make $1 billion. How to Train Your Dragon is making a lot of money. F1 is making a lot of money. It just doesn't have a hell of a lot to work with there in terms of just, people can't see every movie every weekend. Then it also leans a lot into the campiness of it and not enough into horror. It's like they changed the genre, which we talked about as well. And then AI seems more frightening than funny at this point. So they kind of went for it's like a tonal mismatch where, like, are we supposed to be like having fun here, or is this supposed to literally like scare us to death because of how close to the West that they play it? And then Blumhouse's Bumpy Patch, which I mentioned the other day. The fact that they've had quite a few misfires in recent years, they could really have used another box office hit, and yet, much more money is spent on Megan 2.0 than they did on the previous movie, and it completely, shits the bed, John. Are you like surprised that these 5 reasons seem like it's just a death by 1,000 cuts? Do you think those reasons are valid? Which of those reasons do you believe the most?
I think
or do you think it's all of them together?
I think people are kind of wising up on Blumhouse a little bit. They're seeing their not great record, and even though they still technically turn a profit, that doesn't add the marketing budget. So these can very much well be bombs, like Wolfman and Woman in the Yard, which were also not huge flops, but not like, not like hugely profitable either. It's an over glorified sexualized murder doll. That is essentially what it is. And the thing is, people are like, oh, but it's like Terminator, it's like Alien. Here's the fucking thing about that. Alien and Aliens had Sir Ridley Scott and James fucking Cameron behind both of those movies. Tremendous filmmakers. Terminator 2, also. Terminator 2, also, by the way, James Cameron. Who's this guy? Gerald Johnston, or whatever the fuck his name is? This 2-bit hack is really going to be like, you're really comparing the legendary status of one of the two, if we're counting both Alien and Terminator and their tonal shifts, you're really comparing between the two, these tremendous filmmakers and the tremendous movies they made, to some guy who got lucky with a stupid so bad it's good sex doll movie. Like, really? Like, sex murder doll, whatever the fuck. It's just like, I see those comparisons. It's like, okay, on the bare surface, you're technically right. Tonal shifts can happen. But here's the other thing. tonal shifts being executed well where people will like them. That's also an entirely different discussion and an entirely different conversation. So it's like, okay, yeah, the tonal shifts, it can work. They have worked in the past, but you also have to be extremely talented at what you do. And the guy behind this, I'm sure he's like a perfectly fine, decent filmmaker, but it's like, yeah, exactly. It's more like Wonder Woman to Wonder Woman
Yeah.
1984.
I mean,
Like, don't get
Patty
me wrong,
Jenkins kept saying they're not even direct sequels because of how different they are. But I'm like, that's not what the audience was expecting. So,
Yeah.
and not to mention the
thing
second movie
is,
was decidedly
I
worse
was
than the
still
first
excited
one.
because I feel,
Yeah.
you know what I feel like, a little bit of a side tangent, and I'll come back to what I'm saying, is Superman, as in the upcoming James Gunn movie, I feel is what Wonder Woman 1984 tried to do, but is
Mhm.
doing it right. Because Wonder Woman
Right.
1984 is that really campy, comic booky, silly vibe, but it doesn't work. Meanwhile, because Patty Jenkins hasn't really done that type of movie. The only other thing she's done is like she did like a Lifetime movie and Monster before the first Wonder Woman movie, as well as like writing and maybe directing some like TV episodes and stuff like that. She hadn't done that big of a tonal shift, which is borrowing back into Megan, or M3gan as I like to call it, because it's a stupid fucking title, and I hate people who put the numerical titles in like tack 3 and fan forcing.
They should have
It's
saved that one
ridiculous.
for the third movie in the franchise. I don't know why they put that in there for the first one. Like,
Because
what's the relevance of the
that's the
number?
abbreviation of the character. It's like molecular 3D blah blah blah. It's like, you know,
Nobody
it's
cares. Literally nobody
fucking cares.
cares. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, she didn't write the second one either. Alan Heinberg and Jeff Johns did.
Yeah.
So
I mean, Jeff Johns not exactly the best pick for that anyway. Yeah, but hey, look, Megan 2.0
I mean, he's great, but just have him stick with
just
TV and
yeah.
Green Lantern. He should be fine.
Decidedly, this second movie is just crashed, sputtered at the box office, like they said in this Deadline article. And Atomic Monster, you know, moving over to Universal with James Wan, this clearly was not the right move. Blumhouse just having a really bad streak right now. And Megan 2.0, whether it was the time of the year that they released it in, the fact that they completely changed even the genre, the fact that it wasn't really a lot about horror anymore. Maybe the first movie was just not worth turning into a franchise. They maybe should have played it safe. Maybe they should have more of a direct sequel that didn't quite jump the shark and completely change the vibe of the movie. There's a lot of different things. I mean, the marketing for this movie was, you know, pretty effective in a lot of different ways. They had like, you know, Megan dancing at a WNBA game. They had, you know, a spot, you know, where they dropped a trailer for the Grammys and all these other award shows and stuff. So they certainly tried to get the word out, but obviously, you know, people just didn't care. So, and obviously they weren't impressed with the trailers. I mean, I personally liked the trailer. John didn't, but you know, hey, it doesn't matter how good or bad the trailer is. The movie itself has to be good. So, yeah, it's not surprising, like Caleb said, considering that the movie is not very good, that it's not doing well at the box office. So, with that, guys, let us know in the comments down below what you thought about Megan 2.0. If you saw it, we'd love to hear your feedback and tell us what you thought about the movie. If you didn't see it, or if you know you agree with the reasons that Variety and Deadline suggested for why Megan 2.0 has flopped, let us know in the comments, and maybe what you might have done different for the movie to have made it a more of a success if you're a fan of the franchise, certainly. So with that, guys, we're going to move on to the next thing, which of course now we have to talk about the other movie that came out the same weekend as Megan 2.0, except this movie did make a lot of money. John, F1 has become the very first official hit. You know, decidedly, you know, it's not a question mark. It is decidedly a hit for Apple. And while Warner Brothers is the one distributing the movie, I mean, look, Apple put in the effort, and they, quite frankly, you know, have been looking for a hit for a long time. They've had issues with, you know, other movies like Killers of the Flower Moon, which was, you know, a great movie, but perhaps too long. It just seemed like for the longest time, like whether they did a movie that was, you know, critically loved or not, like Argyle, which was, you know, panned across the board and, you know, for all the right reasons. Apple couldn't quite figure out what makes a theatrical movie tick until F1. And so my thing here is, as we get into the review today, finally, I know you have seen the movie. I still haven't gotten a chance to see it, so I'm really excited to see it. But I want to get your take on what you thought about F1. I know you've been very excited about this for the longest time, so I'll let you kind of like take over and do your thing. But I would love to hear what you thought about the movie. The movie, of course, Javier Bardem. It looks fantastic.
Yeah, I thought it was. Oh, hello. I thought it was brilliant in every sense of the word. It's one of the cases where it's like, if you love Top Gun Maverick, you will love this movie. I think it did everything right in terms of what it was intending to do, because it got the characters right, it got the action right, it got the comedy right, it got the character arcs and uh, uh motivations right. The music, of course, the brilliant Hans Zimmer is doing the music for this, and it's great. The needle drops were pretty good. I wasn't a huge fan of the music, but I feel like they propelled the story forward in all the right ways. Is it predictable? Sure, but it's not. But the thing is about predictability, for me personally, where does the predictability, where does it begin and end in terms of it being a genuine flaw to a nitpick to something that doesn't matter? For here, it doesn't matter to me because the writing is so good and everything else surrounding it on a technical scale is so good. Cinematography is amazing. The literally the opening scene with, you know, Brad Pitt driving Daytona 500, Sonny Hayes driving it. It was just brilliant. I was on the edge of my seat. I was like looking at this. I'm like, I'm in for a good time. And the thing is, what I loved about this movie for me is two things that kind of go directly into one another. I will say this: the pacing was so well done. It does not feel like a 2.5 hour movie. This thing is over 2.5 hours long. It never felt like it to me. It never felt like it. Every time he slaps one of his own kids, he gains he experiences the quickening. Wow. I think and with the pacing, I think it kind of feeds like into the idea of like, yeah, there are many, obviously there's a story here. It's not just racing scenes for 2.5 hours. There's a story, and the thing is, it's a good story. It's not a bad story at all. Like, it's genuinely engaging. Again, the only time I would say that the predictability is a problem is with Kerry Condon's character and Brad Pitt's character. Is the subplot I didn't feel was totally necessary. You could kind of showcase it here. It's just like, well, why does this need to be here? I understand it's like it's feeling very much like a 90s film where it's like, there's a female character, there's a guy character. Well, we got to have them kiss and do the devil's tango and any such attributes in regards to that. It's just like that old school kind of like 80s 90s kind of vibe of like, okay, we gotta have like, show off like, the cute relationship here and all that. But like, it's just at the most a nitpick to me. I understand there are people that are like really like, that really sucked. Yes, because it's not what's the selling, but what was in that first teaser trailer that dropped? It was Brad Pitt racing. It was Sonny Hayes racing. So, like, obviously that's the thing. So I liked that. And talking about general, I think going through specifics, I think Brad Pitt, I could not see anybody else in this lead role. Like, I feel like Joseph Kosinski saw Brad Pitt and was like, just wrote the character for him. Because he had that, like, confident swagger that like nobody else can really do. Like, even Tom Cruise, he has like a different kind of like swagger to him. It's not this type of one. Like, Brad Pitt has that old school kind of just vibe of like, just walks into a room and just kind of owns everything in the room. And I like that, but I also liked how confident he was, how he had this like kind of swagger, but there was a reason for it. He was actually good at what he does. He wasn't just like, I don't play by the rules because I'm a cowboy and all that shit. Like a lot of people, there's layers to it. It's like an ogre or an onion. They have layers, so it's like a whole thing of like he's experienced literal hell and back, and so he knows what to do, what to look for, what he sees. And it's not just like, oh, he was like this prophesized son that fell. It was because like he fucking experienced so much shit that he's like, all right, I gotta work that. But he also, what I also like is like, it's not like in terms of like the confidence and swagger kind of stops when he needs to be yelled at, and like he'll take the L. Like it's not like kind of like that Top Gun Maverick kind of thing where it's like Tom Cruise being like, well, fuck you, I'm gonna do it my way because I'm Maverick, fuck you. It's like whenever somebody needs to lay into him for like something that's bad, he'll take it and he'll be like, yep, no, that's right. You have every right to say that. That's okay. And I love how like there was like this idea of like this like confident character who does have the experience, who knows what he's talking about, but also is willing to take a step back and be like, you know what, I need to be the bad guy. I need to be the loose cannon. He is aware of what he is, and he's like, okay, I'll play that role because sometimes it needs to work for whatever is going on. So I like that. I loved his chemistry with everyone. Even I'm not a huge fan of that subplot. I think he did have a good back and forth with Kerry Condon. I thought his chemistry with Damon Idris was great. His chemistry with Javier Bardem was great. Even the few scenes with Tobias Menzies was very good. Like the chemistry with everyone was all off the charts. Damon Idris, I hope this motherfucker gets all the roles after this because he was so good. Again, he's like, it wasn't just like, again, it fit into those stereotypes, but at the same time, it didn't like totally, it was like kind of like, you know what it was? It was a loose fitting glove. It fits like a glove, but there's a little bit of air pockets of like throwing in there of like that kind of subverts it a little bit, that kind of throws you for a loop and showing that like there is some extra in there. I'm not sure. I wouldn't be shocked if he did do a couple, but like probably not a ton. Because Damon Idris, you could be like, oh, he's the hot shot that doesn't give a fuck. Like he's the cold like tricker, whatever the fuck Tom Cruise's character in Days of Thunder was. He can be that guy. But the thing is, like, he also has, and they show this and they say it, that it's like, this guy fucking worked an uphill battle to fucking get to where he is. And the reason he's a cocky bastard is because he's like, I'm good, but I worked hard to get to this place. So it's not just him being like an asshole for asshole's sake. He's just like, I feel like I reached a point where it's kind of deserved because of the things he's done. They kind of imply that it's like kind of like a race glass ceiling kind of thing where it's like, oh, I'm black, so I had that uphill battle, but also like, the uphill battle of being stuck with a shitty team as well, and kind of being stuck in this place where like there's so many other people in like better like companies and teams that do this, and he's like kind of stuck here. So there's also that as well. But I feel like, and then he has like a good relationship with his mom and his cousin who's like his manager, and I like the idea of like him learning from one another, like that whole dynamic. It is reminiscent of Maverick and Rooster from Top Gun Maverick, but even then, you could make fun of this. Oh, it's just diet Top Gun. That's what I thought. It's just diet Top Gun. It's diet Days of Thunder. But I haven't seen Days of Thunder, so I don't know if it's how much it's like that. I mean, I joked about it, like, oh, this is Joseph Kosinski's Days of Thunder. So, because Tony Scott worked on Top Gun and Days of Thunder, so he did the sequel, and he's also doing a car racing movie. So, there was that as well. So I liked that, and I love, obviously, any of the scenes racing are just brilliantly phenomenal. Like, if this doesn't get like sound or cinematography at the Oscars, I'm burning the Academy to the ground. But it's just like, it was so mesmerizing. And my dad was saying this because I saw an early screening, and I do have a funny anecdote about that later. My dad was with me, and we were in these nice big comfy chairs. But the thing is, he's like, when we were on the way home, he's like, I could like feel it whenever the race is, like, I could feel it in my chair, like the vibrations of the, like, I could feel it. And I'm like, I want to go see this again. Like, I feel like I need to go see this again. I couldn't go today because it was all shitty and rainy out, but maybe I'll try to go at some point this week. But it's just, God, it was just such a, well, I mean, it was the same director, same actor. So, I'm pretty sure it was the same writer, but I could be wrong on that. But yeah, it's just like exhilarating in every sense of the word. It's just like, and as someone who has never watched a Formula One, I don't care about Formula One. This was exhilarating. And I know one guy I talked to, he's like a friend of a friend of a friend. Like, I was just chatting with him when my friend posted a review of this movie, and he was like, and this guy was like, oh, I've been watching Formula One for like 25 years, and this like pretty much nailed every aspect on why I love the sport. They made the technical jargon digestible for audiences. They made it work properly. There's like a couple nitpicks here and there in terms of like rules that were like kind of thrown out for dramatized reasons for the film, which is obvious. But he's like, honestly, they got it pretty accurate and pretty and really showcased on why people love this sport. So I really like that. I think that's a good thing to note. Because I'm not an expert, I've never watched it, but it's nice to see that people who do watch F1 are like, yeah, no, they got it. They did the research. They went with this movie. So like, I appreciated that as well as someone from an outside looking in. I'm like, okay, cool. They got that aspect right as well. Javier Bardem, I keep forgetting to mention him. I apologize, because he was great. Like, again, you sympathize with him. He did such a great job. You just want to see him like come out okay. Like, he's just like insane, because Javier Bardem, the man has range. Like, he can play biggest asshole, biggest kindest, and he just played the role like of this like sympathetic guy who like loves racing the way that Sonny Hayes, Brad Pitt's character, does, but in a different way. Because he's like, I understand, like, I had to stop at some point while Sonny is like trying to find that like that thrill in his life. He's like, I had that thrill, I got it, I'm still but I still love this sport, and I still want to do this. So he clearly cares a lot. He knows what he's talking about, he knows what he's doing, and he's just like, I love the sport. He's just like, I want to be okay, I want to see this done well. And it's like two very different men cut from the same cloth, two sides of the same coin, who understand who have a love for this sport, but go about it with different ways. And Javier Bardem really showed that, and he was easily the best actor in this movie, the most talented. So yeah, I think he did great things as well. Very well edited. As I said, the music is very great and dynamic. Hans Zimmer does another brilliant score for this. It maybe not his best work, but it's still amazing work. So yeah, I think this was, and it's one of those cases where you have to see it on a big screen. Like, maybe not Dolby, maybe not IMAX, just see it in a theater. You just need to see it. Don't see it on your phone. Don't see it on your laptop. I understand, like, you're eventually going to have to see it like that because, like, the movies are going to go to home. They're going to go to streaming. So they're going to get on physical media. But even then, just try to experience the greatness of this movie in the theater. I don't really have anything bad to say about it. Like, a couple nitpicks, as I said, the subplot, the predictability, but it doesn't really like matter to me. Like, I remember I was reviewing this on Sunday, and my friend was like, hey, yeah, there's this thing towards the end of the movie where it's revealed that, like, bit of a spoiler, where it's like they reveal how extensive the surgery was that Sonny Hayes had to go through when he experienced that crash in the mid-90s. So there was that as well. And And like Javier Bardem is like shocked. He's like, why didn't you tell me? And you think about it, it's like, why didn't, like, this guy is coming in to help your team out. Wouldn't you give him like a medical checkup? But the thing is, I was so engrossed in the movie, I didn't even recognize that. I didn't even think of that until fucking almost a week later. My friend told me, it's like, oh yeah, you think they would like check that up? I'm like, yeah, they would. But like, I think for me, the reason when it comes to plot holes, if I'm watching a movie and a plot hole happens and it doesn't take away from the movie and or I don't notice it when I'm watching, then it doesn't really matter in the end. But like, that's like maybe another nitpick, but even then I give this like a 10 out of 10. This was like a near perfect movie. I think it like did everything right with what it set out to do. I thought it was brilliant. I think it's absolutely deserving of either of these scores. So yeah, absolutely. I gotta give it the highest score in land because it's really just brilliant in every sense of the word, and go see it. But highly recommend. I know you always ask, is this a recommendation? Yes, it is 100% a recommendation. Please see it in the theater. It's amazing and lovely. Go see this instead of M3gan. Go see cinema this weekend, and yeah, just loving to see it.
Yeah, I mean, I was gonna say it's just got a near perfect audience score, 97%. Like, I can't get any better than that. And then 83% certified fresh with 276 reviews. That is a very respectable number. One of the things that I did want to mention though, this is from Esquire. They were talking about how literally Carrie Condon feels like the real star of the movie. Do you want to address, like, was she somebody like, because she felt like the only real human being according to this article, where they're talking about like her character was more well-rounded than some of the other ones, which felt more prototypical. And again, this movie didn't feel like it had the best plot, but it didn't need that. But maybe, you know, as far as character work goes, I mean, did you feel like Carrie Condon's performance was a standout like they were talking about here?
I don't think she was a standout. I think Damon Idris and Javier Bardem were the best characters and actors in this movie. I thought she was pretty good. Like, she was very good. Like, I'm not saying like none of the actors in this movie were bad. Like, even the really, really small like character actors and supporting cast. I
will say though, just to say, Carrie Condon is Irish actually, not Scottish, but the accent sometimes can be hard to distinguish.
Or maybe
anyway.
Enterprising is saying that they're a Scottish woman and they're talking about going to see the movie. I don't know, but whatever it is, I think.
Oh, is that it? All right. Well, I didn't know. I might have misread that completely. Well, Enterprising in that case, then kudos to you.
I don't know. Enterprising, please tell us. I just, that's how I interpreted it. Like, I don't think. I mean, I could see Carrie Condon, like, she's kind of gives a very real performance, but the thing is, there's not a lot to her, with the exception of like kind of a sob story that's kind of inserted into the movie, like, oh yeah, like, I did this thing and my husband left me. It's like, okay, great, like, I don't really care. I think they're just kind of saying that because she's the only woman, like, major female character in the movie, so they got to prop her up a little bit. So, but like, yeah, I don't think I don't think she was an NPC. I don't think she was bad, but like, it's just like, I don't think, like, I think they're just propping her up on a pedestal way too much. And I think all the other characters were much meatier and gave more layers than her character did.
All right, that's fair. Like on the list. Wait, what do you mean? It's Steven. You're gonna have to restate that. Okay, Enterprising. Okay, so yeah, you were saying that yes, Carrie Condon is Irish, not Scottish. Although the accent sometimes could be hard to distinguish if you're not very familiar with it.
I'll tell that to the Irish or the Scottish, because they might get mad at you.
Oh, they will get very mad at you if you mistake them for one for the other. But John, speaking of the box office performance, they raced to the top of the UK and Ireland box office as well. Speaking of Ireland, of course. So it's doing really well. Of course, we talked about how it made almost 150 million at its opening weekend. So, you know, it's doing really well, to the point now, John, where Apple, I came across this the other day, reportedly they're developing an F1 sequel. Now, this comes from a Variety article, which I found, because, like I said, they finally have a hit on their hands. They've got like a bona fide hit movie. Now, we all expected that to be the case, but for Apple, this is the very first, right? Like, they've had a bunch of misses and for a multitude of reasons. But do you think the it's a right move now for them to go ahead and try to make a sequel to this? Or is this kind of like a Megan situation where it works well, but maybe they should go in different directions? Because obviously we have seen most recently there was the movie Wolves in 2024 with Clooney and Pitt, which they decided to just throw out on streaming directly rather than giving it a theatrical release. And we were wondering, why do that? If anything, that movie could have made money at the box office. But so their strategy has been a little up and down. Do you think it would be prudent to do an F1 sequel, or do you think it would be a situation where it might end up being more like Megan 2.0? Or do you think this is a movie that lends itself to a sequel, kind of like what they're now doing with Top Gun Maverick, making a third Top Gun movie?
Yeah, I think like if it's gonna make money, they're gonna make a sequel that's like, again, first box office hit. Hell yeah, let's go. But like, I don't think it exactly. I don't think it needs. Personally, I don't think it needs a sequel. I think it like ended pretty well. I feel like it would just be kind of the same thing over again, and I feel like Joseph Kosinski would want to really work hard so it's not that. But yeah, I think.
Hi, Eugene.
Yes, finally some love for Warfare. Thank fucking God. Like, everybody fucking slept on that goddamn movie. It was so good. But I would say this is in my top 5. Like, okay. It's definitely up there. I initially said top 3, but now I was
to answer Steven's question,
3 other movies, so I would say top 5.
I mean, look, I haven't seen it yet. I feel like it will easily end up in my top 5 considering the other movies I've seen this year so far. So yeah, I mean, a Days of Thunder crossover could work. That's exactly what Joseph Kosinski was talking about on the promotional tour for this movie. So we'll just have to wait and see if that's what we end up getting, guys. But let us know in the comments down below what you thought about F1. Of course, John recommends it. Go see it on the biggest screen possible. Now with Jurassic World coming out and all these other Superman coming out the week after and so on and so forth, it's going to be likely that you may not be able to see it in the biggest screen because it depends on where you are. You may have an IMAX screen that's playing the other movies that are more recent, but you never know. You might be able to sneak in a show for in IMAX or in Dolby Prime or whichever RPX, whichever theater you go to. They all have their premium formats. But let us know what you thought about F1. How high does it rank in your top 10, top 5 movies of the year? Of course, we'd love to hear from you. Get in the comments down below. Hit the like button while you're at it. And of course, we'll bring your questions and comments in later in the week for the Friday show when we do the Q&A session. With that in mind, we're going to get back into some more news. Now we're going to dive into some Superman news, shall we? So let's get back into that, John. As we always do, we'd like to split up the Superman news throughout the show. So this is the first half of that. And we're going to get into that. Before we do, though, we've got some new names in the chat. So Eugene, I was mentioning earlier, hello. We got Movie Spud in the chat saying, good evening, all. I really enjoyed F1. Brad Pitt, Missouri boy who did well. Exactly. I mean, he's effortlessly charismatic, which is exactly what everybody has been saying. Even the Rotten Tomatoes website kind of talks about like his charisma carries the movie, and I think John, you said as much. So yeah, dude, I think it's still available in Dolby in a few places. I'm gonna try to see it this upcoming weekend in a Dolby screen, so I'm looking forward to it. And thank you for the suggestion. I mean, we're in the Northeast, and so it's there's everything is kind of like relatively close together. So, but if you're like in a different part of the country, if you're maybe somewhere abroad, then hopefully you'll still have an opportunity to see it on the biggest screen imaginable. And we also have Angelica in the chat now. Angelica saying F1 is in her top 5 or top 3 so far as well. So there you go. Word up for Real Rejects getting that James Gunn interview. Yes. A lot of press junket stuff going on. The Real Rejects interview, I don't know if we have that on today's show, but we will bring that in tomorrow. We had to leave a few things on the cutting room floor, but today, because there's just so much Superman marketing, John, that it's kind of hard to get it all into like one show. So yesterday we saved a few things for today. Today we'll save a few things for tomorrow. But let's talk about Superman, shall we, John? Because the one thing that you guys were mentioning in the chat yesterday is how over on the Warner Brothers lot in Burbank, they have painted the famous water tower with the Superman logo, so the poster. And so it usually is the WB logo. Right now it's got the big S on it, John. Again, this is just that whole synchronization across the board. Even though Warner Brothers is a separate movie studio now, the DC Studios clearly as far as the whole backlot goes, DC still has a huge presence there. What are your thoughts on this?
Really awesome to see. I think that's really cool that they did that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So speaking of which, there's a bunch of other stuff. We got a new clip of James Gunn's Superman, of course. This is from The Fortress of Solitude. This clip, I think, was part of that feature on CBS News, CBS Sunday Morning, I think it was. We'll talk about that in more detail later, but I guess he calls these robots Superman robots, which is interesting.
I like how
yeah.
he even says "what the hey," like, and like just so dorky. I love it.
And the dialogue here was, I was like, this is definitely not Man of Steel, you know? It's a very different kind of movie, but it's so cute. Again, you know,
yeah, it's like actual real dialogue instead of just trailer quotes throughout the entire movie.
Come on, John. I'm trying to be nice, like but I do have some reservations.
I'm just saying that David S. Goyer, he's spotty with his writing. I will say he does some really good stuff, but then he also did like Blade Trinity and Demonic Toys. So like, you know,
yeah. Hey, but he wrote the Batman Begins, so you know he's like he it's up and down. All right, moving on to the next thing. This here is also from that CBS Sunday feature. We got more footage of Superman. Literally, at some point, he must have gotten thrown, you know, into the ground, and so he almost like the dune. What do they call those in the
sandworms?
The sandworms, like it's kind of like that, just
the
rising up from beneath. Yeah, from beneath the city, a metropolis. That's almost like a villain kind of move, except obviously Superman, you know, pushing out of there. I wonder how this is going to play into the kaiju fight scene, most likely. But yeah, more footage from the movie. It looks fantastic. Speaking of fantastic, we were talking about F1, but at MotoGP, they've got a Maverick of their own, and he's wearing the Superman helmet these days. John, I know we talked about this a while ago, but now you see him racing with it on. This is impressive as it did.
This
before.
is Joseph Kosinski's new movie. It's going to be motorcycles.
MotoGP. It's like that's going to be the next one.
I jokingly said, like, during the review the other day, it was like, all right, he did aircrafts, he did cars, now he has to do boats. Joseph Kosinski, next movie, got to be boats.
Yeah. It looks great.
I mean, he's already doing space with the next Bruckheimer Apple production.
Right. It's a UFO movie, right? Like
but like, you know, it's like it involves space. Like,
yeah, it does. Yeah. Exactly, Frankie. I mean, James Gunn really does want to give us the quintessential Superman, and that's what he keeps reiterating in all the interviews. And this Superman, while he's not weak, he is also not invulnerable. One of the funny things that I saw on social media was like how by the time that we got Guy Gardner and Steve Lombard showing up to the press junket, it looked like they missed the boat, and so then they went ahead and kind of had to do their own little thing. So not only were they not there for the photos on the helipad, they later on, I think there's later on in the show, I'll show that they did their own little photo shoot.
Sarah Sampaio and
yeah,
Maria and Rachel all commenting on it,
all supporting each other, which is great. But then there was this from the Daily Planet newsletter, John, an ad for Big Belly Burger, Belly Up Metropolis. I feel like this is literally a Burger King collaboration waiting to happen. Like this just needs to be like something that's available when the movie comes out, because a special Big Belly Burger, like, yeah, people would get that shit. Like, or like maybe AMC can offer it. Well, they don't really give you anything nearly as good looking as that in an AMC movie theater, but if they were to offer it, I would certainly pay up for that. I'd probably pay up to like $10-15 for that thing, if you're hungry enough. So anyway, I know you're a fan of Big Belly Burger, John. Getting to see more of these iconic DC.
Right, I'm fat,
you let me finish. Getting to see more of these iconic DC brands from the comics in the movie.
I want to see Chacos. I want to see Chacos. We did get a little bit with Hammer of Bravia, but I want to see like an official ad like this.
Right. I was gonna say it's in the background in the movie in a couple of shots we've already seen. So yeah, hopefully we'll get to see more of it. But keep it on rolling here. Of course, we talked about this the other day. The trio back together before they headed off to London. And the whole thing about how social media is like, no, Nicholas, where is Nicholas Hoult? And Nicholas is like, guys, cut it. You know, he was late. He's here. Like, you know, don't bust his balls about it. And
I like, why is Clark Kent swearing at me?
Yeah. Except then in the next clip, like he's the goodest boy, like not swearing at all. He's like, I promise you'll be nice to David. And everything he says in here is pretty much, as sanitized as it can be. And he just gives you a nice summary of the movie. And of course, he's got 2 hype men behind him. So again, the social media marketing behind this movie looks fantastic. They're just,
I would
doing a
love
great
I
job.
would love it if like Nick Cage was like David's like this, like, oh, I just want to be the best Superman I can be, and then like Nick Holt in the back is just like, if you say anything bad about Superman, I will fucking kill you, and then just like go full like protective Lex Luthor.
I'm sure we're gonna get that soon enough. At this point, they've got like 4 more cities to hit, or no, 5 more cities on the tour, so we're gonna get lots more of that stuff. Don't you worry. The Watcher is here. Need to deal with Oreo to make the special. Yeah, exact. You know what? Burger King for the Big Belly Burger and Oreos for the Chacos. That would be great, Watcher. That's a great idea. Somebody get the Oreo marketing team on the line. We need that. We definitely need that.
We need that.
But
all of us.
we need that. This is the way. All right. Well, speaking of the way, Scarlett Gazondo was talking about his audition for Superman, saying, I figured James was going to go for an unexpected everyday Superman. Kind of cool. Then my rep called and said, no, those weren't dummy sides. It was for Jimmy. He still laughs about the fact that he got a call back without realizing who he was really reading for. And James Gunn, of course, loved it. So
yeah, it's kind of like
I think he was reading for Superman.
Auditioned for like Lobo, and Zack Snyder was like, "You'd make a good Aquaman," and he's like,
"Yeah,
sure, okay."
He's like, "I'll take it." I mean, he got to be in like 4 movies. It's great. It worked out. Speaking of Jimmy Olsen, he was at the press junket, so he posted a photo next to the logo, and then he was also talking about how, look, Jimmy and Clark are like buddies at the Daily Planet. I think Jimmy really does love Superman. He thinks that he's doing things right, and Jimmy would be the last person in the world to suspect that Clark is Superman. So it looks like Jimmy Olsen is not in the know on who Superman is, and the last person you would suspect would be Clark Kent. Do you believe that, John? Do you think that it will stay that way over time, or will that change and maybe Jimmy Olsen will find out? Maybe even in this movie, he finds out that Clark is Superman. What do you think?
I kind of like the idea of Jimmy Olsen knowing, but like I get like why they also don't know, like that kind of thing. So whatever it is, I think I think it's good for whatever they do, and I'm still gonna see a good dynamic between these two.
Yeah, no, absolutely. We're all glad to see, a version of Jimmy Olsen that, quite frankly, I mean, look, I like Batman v Superman, but even I was like, wait, isn't Jimmy Olsen supposed to be the sidekick of Superman, or like, his best friend? And then like he was in BVS for 5 minutes and completely wasted as a character. So I'm kind of glad that, we're getting to see Jimmy Olsen in a way that feels more quintessential Superman, more closer to what we're getting in the comics. But yeah, let's see how the character kind of fits into the overall picture of what is an incredibly big movie. It's very expansive, so many different characters and stories to be told. Oh, okay, all right, dude. Movie Spud is gonna do a big ass marathon, animated series, all the TV shows, the movies, cartoons. You might be able to get through all of that in like a week's time, which is just about what you need. But you would have to be watching it constantly. So,
don't sleep till Metropolis.
Yep. What's wrong with Real Rejects? Oh yeah, I don't know what's wrong with Real Rejects. Well, hello Patrick in the chat. Jimmy Olsen who lasts longer than 5 minutes. Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Yeah. I did not like the fact that I was like, okay, so he's a CIA person, but then he gets shot. Like literally, not even 5 minutes into the movie, he gets shot. I was like, really? Like you could have chosen any random character. That's one of my critiques of the Snyderverse. But yeah, yes, the Watcher. We will get into James Gunn talking about Huntress, so don't you worry about that. It looks like Enterprising has been watching Smallville lately. But let's keep on going here, John. David Cornsweat recently was asked about what was your favorite superhero growing up, and it kind of made me feel old when he said that Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man was his favorite growing up. But it makes sense. He's like 31 years old, so that's actually pretty much very close to my age. Oh, I know. I remember one of the first superhero movies I've ever saw in a movie theater was the Sam Raimi Spider-Man movie. So it makes sense. What do you think? Is this a good pick on the part of David Cornsweet? Should he have
Yeah.
preferred Superman? I don't know, a
No,
Batman.
I mean like based,
Yeah.
based.
Yep. Absolutely. All right. Well, we're gonna actually have some more Spider-Man stuff, specifically the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man stuff later in Quick Hits. But John, I don't know if you've talked about this before, but if you fly American, you might, you get that little. You have an app. They have an app where they tell you where you are on the map and on your journey from one city to the other. And they nowadays are showing the Superman logo to show your progress on their flight tracker. So that's pretty cool. Another nice little, addition, a
I
collaboration with
mean,
American
BVS
Airlines.
had Turkish Airlines,
It
and
did.
the greatness of Turkish Airlines. Without Turkish Airlines, I wanted to showcase how Turkish Airlines really Turkish airlined my Turkish airline. So yeah, brilliant.
So cool. Oh, you do have something about Spider-Man. All right, Watcher. All right. We'll just wait until Quick Hits. But there was this feature in CBS. It was from CBS morning, Sunday morning, I think. Let me see if I can pull up the clip. So here we go. There's the clip. I thought this was pretty awesome. When you watch it back, it has an interview from James Gunn, John. So he actually shows them the interviewer here some footage in the edit studio because they went over and kind of showed some of the footage that we haven't actually kind of seen. This looks like the opening title sequence of the movie. And so I guess after Superman gets healed in the fortress, then he flies into that whole logo, and that's how the movie kind of starts up. One of the things that I really liked about this interview was how James Gunn, within the first couple of minutes, talks about he wanted to make the Superman relatable. He wanted to make the Superman, somebody who isn't, essentially going to be invulnerable. Like he gets beaten up, he bleeds, like all of those things. By the way, really quickly, John, who is that chick in the pink dress? Probably another metahuman that's sitting in the other block in the background. Because I was
It's Barbie.
wondering.
It's Barbie.
It's Barbie. Okay.
No, a lot of people are saying that it might
Hey,
be
Ron. Happy
Rex
Canada Day.
Mason's wife, aka the or the mother of baby Joey. So that's what a lot of people are theorizing.
Okay.
Whether it actually is, we don't know, but I feel like that's a good theory.
Okay. Well, I mean, hey, that is a good theory. What I also saw in this is like an 8-minute long clip. Then there's an extended 48-minute version of it with just the David Cornsweet interview. But James Gunn talking about again the influence of Christopher Reeve and how iconic that was. And then Christopher Reeve and David Cornsweet are both Juilliard actors. So Christopher Reeve back in the day, of course, took his start at Juilliard, and then David Cornsweet was talking about his stage acting days, and then how the idea that with Christopher Reeve, he just became known for Superman, and ultimately never quite was able to have a big career outside of Superman. And David Cornsweet was like, "Look, I had to ask myself this question." And ultimately, the answer that I came up with was like, you know what? If this is the only character that I'm going to play in my life and be known for, I'm okay with that. Like, somebody has to do it. And if I am going to be the one to do that, then that's fine. I'm good. So he's good. He's like, if I don't get to be in any other franchise or any other big movie, if everybody only remembers me for Superman at the end of the day, I'll be okay with that. We know that Christopher Reeve sort of struggled with that during his career. So I'm glad that David Cornsweet has a much more positive attitude around that idea. So the fact that he sees it this way, and you should be glad, because he probably will be in this new universe for a long time. So yeah, I mean, John, what are your thoughts on this? The idea that David Cornsweet is not really opposed to just being only known for Superman.
Yeah. It's like once you get into these bigger roles, you're kind of you're just that role. Like that's
Mm-hmm.
I know a lot of people are like, oh, that's Superman curse. And I feel like him being aware of this now will definitely help his career later, because
Mm-hmm.
I feel like Christopher Reeve was like, even though he loved the character, he embodied the character, he was great as the character, he knew and understood the character. I feel like he never fully realized until way later that he was gonna be this character until the day he died. Like he was still gonna be this one character. This is gonna be the most noteworthy thing. This is gonna be the biggest thing. And the fact that he never really truly made peace with that didn't help the rest of his career, which is sad. Like he was a great actor and he did a lot of great roles.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel
Yeah,
like David
exactly.
Cornswet knowing like, okay, I'm gonna be Superman for until the end of time, but like I'll try to do other projects, but like I'm still gonna be this. I'm gonna be known as this one character. I think that'll be helpful for the in the long run
Yeah,
for him.
yeah. Hello, Hosea, by the way, in the chat. I also appreciate that in this conversation, David Cornswell was asked like, "Hey, what about like the trunks, right? Like the bulge and everything that we talk about." And he essentially was like, "Look, that came from the idea that he wants to be kid friendly, right? Like otherwise the costume looks very like much like something that would be worn in the military, even though it's like this bright blue. It's a little more intimidating, especially for somebody who's got as much power as Superman does. So he was like, look, and also in the sky, like the red trunks stand out against the blue sky. The suit not as much, so you could see it. You could see him coming. And it's just something where he likes the idea that he's going to be a character that the kids will look up to. So seeing that attitude again, we have heard this many times before, but hearing it from David Cornswet directly in a video interview, it just kind of changes how you think about. Again, he's got a really just the right idea about what this movie is, what Superman is as a character, and clearly James Gunn and David Cornswet are very much on the same page about who Superman as a character is and what he means to the universe that he's going to be a part of and helping to launch. So there we go, John. This is just fantastic stuff. Like it really is. You can't overstate again like how impressive everything David Cornswet seems to say in these press junket interviews is. Like he's just nailing it every step of the way. Like he's saying all the right things. Hopefully the movie is as good as we are expecting it to be. But yeah, I mean there was again more clips from the movie coming out. This one we already kind of took a look at. What was funny about this is that when he's talking to the robots, the Superman robots as he calls them, the robots are like, "We feed the canine," but he's unruly. He realizes we're not flesh and blood and couldn't in our heart or hearts care less whether he lives or dies. It's just this dry humor, which I know we heard it before, and the first time we heard it, we were like, I don't know if that quite lands. And John, do you think the line lands? Because again, it's meant to be this like dry humor. I for one still thought that was like, I don't know. It didn't really made me laugh and just watching this clip. But maybe if you watch the whole movie in the context of what's going on in the film at the time, it might be funnier. What do you think?
I didn't really. I feel like it's just kind of matter of fact. I don't really view it as humor. I mean, if it's supposed to be a joke, then I don't think it was terribly funny. But like, not every joke is gonna land. Like there were plenty of like, for instance, I remember the Guardians 3 where they had the fucking microphone.
Mm-hmm.
Fucking that was bad. Like I
Yeah.
like that movie. That was bad. It went way too long and it was just
Yep.
painfully unfunny. So like James Gunn has had misses in the past. Like I still don't think I get like Dance Off Bro was like a cultural phenomenon for a hot sec. I still think it was stupid. Like it was so
I
dumb.
enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. Like it was just
So like there's gonna be some misses here and there. I don't think it was like
yeah.
a bad joke. It's just like dry wit that didn't really get recognized and could have been
Yeah.
executed better.
Yeah. Fair enough. Fair enough. All right, moving on to the next thing. You know what? Superman is not even visiting Australia, but they are promoting the heck out of the movie over there. The only difference is it's not summer in Australia because they're in the southern hemisphere, so it's winter time. So everything about summer Superman in Australia, they're calling it the season of Superman, which I thought was kind of interesting. Again, just that's just how the world is. Australia, it's winter time right now. So instead of the summer of Superman, they are experiencing the season of Superman over there. Not to mention, John, Superman, they're not it's making a stop in India on their world tour, but that does not mean they're
Damn.
not lighting up the night sky with Superman marketing. So this is one of the most impressive bridges in all of India. This is the Bandra Worli Sea Link, as they call it. Huge bridge there. I don't know if that's a suspension bridge or like what that particular mechanism is called, but you can clearly
Yeah.
tell it's lit up with Superman marketing. The
Looking
logo,
good.
Superman. It looks great. Looks great, man. That looks fantastic. Look up India is the hashtag that they're using. Yeah. Oh, Steven is okay. Nice. I didn't realize that. That's a great website that they run over there. A good point from Elite EZ. I like the Superman robots clip. Not everything has to be comic view. Exactly. It doesn't have to be comic accurate, but I mean, yeah. It is winter down under, as Jose is confirming. So, yep. All good. It's all good. It's all good. Wouldn't be surprised if Dubai is next for Superman marketing. Look, Ron, they're not stopping by in Dubai, but I would not be surprised if they have some like big banner or something like that. So I don't know if this is AI though. This looks real. This looks real because early in the video you see people are like driving and they can see it. They're taking video of it. So yeah. All right, well, Watcher, if you've got the scoop, I mean, and you can confirm it, you can verify it, then make sure to share that with us. We will definitely keep an eye out for that. Gunn is cooking. I mean, that we know that it's real, like Rocket would say in Rocket Raccoon voice. That's a fake laugh. It's real, and that's a real sign. But speaking of James Gunn teasing about what is a pseudo sequel, other characters to come later in the world of the DCU. Recently, he was asked, and he was talking about maybe what other characters might be joining this new universe, including maybe the Huntress. John, this is the quote from James Gunn. He was on the Happy Sad Confused podcast with Josh Horowitz, and he teased that an upcoming project might be centered around the Huntress, saying the goal from the beginning was to give the honor that the great characters deserve, the Wonder Womans, the Batmans, and Supermans, but then also to prop up these lesser-known characters like Peacemaker, Booster Gold, and Huntress. This is slightly older because I believe we have seen this interview in the past, but your thoughts? I mean, this most likely still holds true. The idea that, Peacemaker, obviously we know has season 2 coming up. Booster Gold still has a show on the way. How soon do you think we might see the Huntress come to life?
Ooh, I mean, we've technically already seen her come to life. She played by Mary Elizabeth Winstead in that Birds of Prey movie. Birds of Prey movie.
I'm talking about the new cinematic.
No, I'm just saying, like, there's some precedent with the character. I don't think, and because with that, if you didn't interrupt me, Dan, I would say I don't think we're getting the character for a while because we got her, like, when did that movie come out? Like 2021, I think. Was that when it came out? Like right around the time of COVID.
It was before COVID, no? Was it
before COVID? I don't remember. Like,
it is roughly the right time though. I think you're talking
2019
the right
2021, somewhere around that time.
Yeah.
And so maybe we'll wait like another 3 to 5 years before we really see that character, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think that's a good idea because they have so much on their plate right now. It doesn't make sense to just jump over and randomly create another, they've got so much going on in the future. Yes. Him saying there's a very high chance, like the Watcher was mentioning, that's like, okay, I can imagine that's correct. Somebody did tell John Campy, I was watching that block out the noise, shut out the hate, you will love this movie. And that's ultimately, I think, look, when you walk into the movie theater, leave your expectations behind you because you want to judge the movie for what it is. We all have, like I keep saying, probably just incredibly unrealistic expectations for this movie, but we just have to go in there and hope for the best and really just, enjoy the movie for what it is. If we put our own expectations on it, then, that always kind of leads to some disappointment. So that's kind of my approach to things. But then again, if it's not a good movie, it's not a good movie. We'll have to tell you that. So I hope that's not the case. But I mean, and look, as far as what James Gunn is going for, I really do feel like this is going to start to feel like the JLU animated series universe, where we just have this sprawling, a set of characters everywhere. We already have like half a dozen metahumans that we get to see, probably more in this Superman movie alone. And then we're getting into a Lantern show. Peacemaker is going to have cameos. He's already promised. So between that and Supergirl, like, it's going to be great. That is Matt Damon in the thumbnail. He's looking great, John doesn't like it, but that's okay.
I like it. I just, it's just like, oh, and it's like,
yeah. John, he did. Well, it's fair because, like, one critic didn't like it, but you'll always have that. Like, if you have 8 critics that love it and 2 don't, that doesn't mean those 2 critics don't exist. I think we'll have to address that next week when the Rotten Tomatoes score comes out. I believe on Monday when the embargo drops, we're gonna probably not have 100%, score. So that will probably tell us there's a few people who didn't like it. So we'll just have to we'll have to just wait and find out. Yeah, I'm sure there'll be an underworld that the Deathstroke movie could explore, but it would depend on, again, if that Bane Deathstroke movie is actually happening. So yeah. Well, the Huntress scoop. Look, James Gunn has said it himself. So there you go, Watcher. We probably will get it eventually. PLO 617 saying, I have a bad feeling about the movie. I'll keep my expectations low just in case. I mean, let us know why you think that is. Like, we actually have a running list of everybody predicting their total for the box office that Superman, the amount of money Superman will make ultimately. I know a lot of folks in that list have said $1 billion. So a lot of people have high expectations. Let us know, PLO, why you think you have, a bad feeling about it, and maybe how much money you think the movie's going to make. John's going to put it in the list, and we're going to take a look at it on the other side of the movie's release once it's out of theaters in a few weeks' time. Yeah, focusing on negative does sell. Negativity does get clicks, but we are here to celebrate movies for the love of movies. That's what the channel is about. But every once in a while, if you don't like something, we'll tell you. Like that's just part of the process. So okay, cautious. Yeah, cautious is good. Cautious. What was it? Cautiously optimistic is one way to go about it. Mm-hmm. But hey, let us know what you thought about all of those Superman marketing, elements, whether it's the India marketing, the Australia marketing, all the different, press junket stuff. We got more coming up later in the show, so don't you worry. I've got it all loaded up. We're going to get into it a little bit later. Right now, though, we got to finish up the news segment with some trailer reactions. So, John, let's dive into that, shall we? Because the very first trailer we're going to get into is maybe not one that you're interested in, but Bill Hader has The Cat in the Hat movie coming. They dropped this teaser to the trailer yesterday, and then today we got the trailer itself. It's a first look at this new Warner Brothers animated movie. It's an adaptation of The Cat in the Hat. I watched this. I mean, of course, this is the new Warner Brothers animation, freshly reorganized with a whole new slate of pictures.
Yeah, look what turned out. Whoops.
I like the animation style. It's more of that illustrative, animation style. It's less of that Pixar house style. And quite frankly, there were some funny moments in this. There's also some stuff that didn't quite hit for me in terms of the humor. You could tell it's incredibly inventive, the artwork and how it's all playing out. The joke's not necessarily hitting.
I hate how Cat in the Hat looks. He looks so terrible. It looks so ugly.
Yeah, it's not the best trailer I saw today. Far from it. So yeah, we'll just have to wait and see how the movie plays out ultimately. I will say though, it was better than what I was expecting because I had incredibly low expectations for this. So yeah, the humor for me is going to be the key to making this movie work. So let's just hope that hits, because right now there's a lot of things in this trailer that didn't quite land, a lot of jokes.
There's a Thing 3? What the fuck?
I do not know how that works. Oh, hey, Fiona. How are you? Oh, you're up this late? I don't know. I thought you were heading to bed. But anyway, we're going to keep going here because, look, The Cat in the Hat comes out soon. If you look at some of the stills, they have a lot of the key characters from the book. I enjoyed the trailer. I certainly think it could have been better. I would probably give it like a 6 out of 10, kind of average. But so Thing 1 is adorbs. That is true. I will agree with you on that one. So yeah, it does look a little bit like an Illumination movie, Angelica. It does. But again, the house style of animation that Pixar has, they're not quite using that. So I think that's good. I have a good feeling about that. Meanwhile, John, PLO giving us 2 numbers for his Superman prediction, saying, I haven't liked most of the footage and trailers so far, so predicting 700 million. However, if it's great, then 900 million. So if you want to note him down, note him, her, or they down, PLO 617 saying somewhere between 700 to 900 million dollars for Superman. So we got you. Don't you worry. Shout out to Canada. It's Happy Canada Day. Ron saying he didn't really quite have a good time with that, but there you go. Oh, the itchy bug bites. Yeah. We went to the pool over the weekend, and there's like a park, and it's just we got bit up, man. We got bit up. But anyway, we have previous estimates. We do. John has a whole list. I don't know if you have the spreadsheet, John, for all the Superman predictions. You have a lot of billion-dollar predictions in there. So 700 to 900 million for PLO 617 is a pretty good number too. We are actually the Watcher. We will give you our thoughts on the Odyssey trailer when it drops on the internet. We kind of looked over the description for it earlier in the show. We talked about the poster, Matt Damon's physique. So if you didn't get a chance to see that, be sure to rewind and check that out, because we don't have the trailer available online. They took it down everywhere, which they should, because it was not officially up. But when they do put it up, we will talk about it this week. So I'm sure that will happen. But everybody in Canada, happy Canada Day, as you guys are saying in the chat. I'd rather celebrate Canada right now, to be honest. Exactly. Happy Canada Day, Ron. We will have a little bit more of that later in the show, because Nathan Fillion, Canada's own, was surprised by the rest of the Superman crew about Canada Day. I mean, yeah, the description certainly makes it seem like it. They shot it entirely in IMAX cameras. So, yeah. Hosea, you might be the highest. I think, John, isn't 1.5 billion the highest?
No, TC24 has the highest.
What's the highest?
It's 1.5.
Well, Hosea is saying his is 1.5 as well.
No, his was 1.2 right there. You can see it right there.
Oh,
Boom.
Okay, Hosea. Do you care to update?
Liar.
Do you care to update that? Or are you okay being a shill for 1.5, or do you want to stick with 1.2?
But
we'll wait for Hosea to respond in the
added
chat.
Plo.
Well,
right
they've got a range 700 to 900 million, depending on how good it is. Which I don't know. Are we doing ranges?
700 million. So.
Well, they said it's if it's great, it's 900 million.
All right,
so they have two comments in the chat.
Fucking God.
I'm just saying they gave us a range. 1.2. Hosea sticking with his number. He said wants to stay with 1. Okay, got it. We'll keep you at 1.2. But you can see the list here. Since Fiona's in the chat, and since she's up, I wonder what her number is. 666. A very even number. Wasn't that when we were in the UK? I think we were in London when she was on the show and she made a prediction. She was like 666, and you were like, "I got you. I got the note." So there we go. Well, guys, if you want to add your name into the list, I'll turn it into a better looking graphic eventually once we have the final list. But eventually.
I mean, I did download a new photo editing software, so maybe I can learn. It's not Photoshop, but it's GIMP, so I'm like, maybe it's a little bit better than Paint.net. So
Yep. Mm-hmm. Well, Paint.net is still a pretty powerful tool, but anyway, I see what you mean. Okay, so the Watcher saw it, and
I'm trying to stay away from Paint.net is because it fucks up with my graphics card. So both my editing software and my photo editing software fuck up with an AMD graphics card, so I can't really use either anymore much, at least. So it's I gotta
all good
switch. So.
All good. Well, John, you know what? We got to make the switch, and we got to talk about the Running Man, because we will be talking about Superman later, so you guys stick around for that. But right now, let's react to the Running Man trailer. Whoa, look at that. The graphics are changing. The Running Man is the new Edgar Wright movie. It's a reboot. It's sort of, because it's still based on the book. And it quite frankly, it is adapting the book much more closely than the original movie with Arnold Schwarzenegger did. So it got the blessing of Arnold himself, because the movie has Arnold's son in there. So they actually ended up calling him and on a Zoom call, and he gave them his blessing. I think Edgar Wright sort of talks about it, saying Glenn has been in a film with Arnold. He was in Expendables 3, and he knew his son Patrick. So I said, we have to talk to Arnold. It was an incredible call. Obviously, sometimes when you see people do newer adaptations of films, it's a bit of a touchy situation. But Arnold actually told them that out of all my films that I've made, I'm not going to do his accent, I've always felt that one that would be a worthy remake, and I think you guys are all set up to do that. He basically gave them his blessing, and it was an incredibly sweet thing, said Edgar Wright. So with that in mind, John, let's get into the trailer, shall we? So this is the trailer, and I have to be honest with you, this is one of the best trailers I've seen all year. It's so much fun. I actually just as soon as it ended, I rewound it all the way back. I was like, let's go again, because it's just got this incredible pacing. And Glenn Powell, I feel like this is gonna be. I mean, he's already had a couple of star-making roles, but this might really elevate him to the next level if this movie, goes well with the crowd. Because holy cow, this movie I don't think works without the charisma of Glenn Powell at the center of it. But
Right.
for those of us who don't, before you get into your reaction, I wonder, can you give us a bit of a summary for those of us who don't know what The Running Man is about, who might not have seen the original movie with Arnold Schwarzenegger or haven't read the book from Stephen King?
Right.
Can you give us an idea what it is? And then also, I mean, what did you think about the trailer?
So the original book is definitely closer to this. It's like a game show. It's in a dystopian future. And essentially it's like a guy down on his luck has to do the Running Man, and it's over the course of a long time, and it eventually reaches an explosive I know like the very general idea of the Running Man. I don't know like extreme plot specifics. I haven't read the book. I might have the book. I don't know. I think the Running Man was a Richard Bachman book, and I have most of them. But I
But that
might
wasn't
not
that
have it.
what wasn't that like Stephen King's like what do they call it in the world of writing, like his
It's like a
fake
pen
name? Pen name. Yeah, it was his pen name.
Yeah,
But
because
and we
like he
didn't know
felt
at the
that the
time.
stuff that was too dark
Mhm.
or like that didn't fit in with the Stephen King brand, that's he would use Richard Bachman. He did Thinner, Running Man, Road Work, uh Rage, and I think one more
That's
that he
exactly.
did.
I was just gonna say, Enterprising's comparison. It feels like this is the Hunger Games times, sort of like the futuristic look of the RoboCop reboot, and combined with a little bit of like Blade Runner. I just felt like that's what this movie was giving me, Hunger Games, and like
Yeah, I mean,
that kind of vibe.
it's kind of funny because both The Long Walk and this are both Hunger Games-esque dystopian futures
Yep.
where like people get killed for entertainment. So it's ironic that we're getting those adaptations this year. So yeah, I think that I'm pretty sure that the book is definitely a little bit more serious than this. A friend of mine tried to read the book, he couldn't finish it because like it's mostly just a dude sitting in a room for most of it. But I think but from what I've heard, it's like an okay book. But like the first film is like it's essentially just an 80s Arnold action movie
Mhm.
but using the name The
The
Running
Running
Man.
Man.
Yeah,
Right.
so, like, it has, like it has a couple things like Ben Richards and, like, I think what
Right.
I think in the book, if he was framed for something he didn't commit, and he
Mhm.
had to, like, do that, or maybe that was invented for the movie. I don't exactly remember. I think that's what it was in the book, but, yeah, I don't think I don't think he had a wife and daughter in the book. So obviously they had to
It
change a
does
couple
raise the
things.
stakes a little bit though by
He
adding that
doesn't.
in.
I
Yeah.
think he definitely changed a couple things for dramatization for this adaptation, but yeah, I think like it's mostly stays true to the original film. It feels like an Edgar Wright movie. I expected something way more
Like this shot
serious.
here is an Edgar Wright shot completely. You
Yeah,
know, the
imagine if we got
motion.
his Ant-Man movie. That would
I
have
know.
been
I
fuck, that would
know.
have
I
been so
know.
good.
Well, I mean, we still got a pretty good Ant-Man movie, but anyways, go
We
ahead.
didn't, but it's like this
Lee
definitely
Pace.
seems like more his vibe. This definitely has
Yeah.
like Baby Driver and Hot Fuzz kind of vibes. And after Last Night in Soho was definitely a disappointment. I hope that he just goes back to doing what he does best. Yeah, it's definitely has that vibe, and I'm loving it, and I think it's great. And plus maybe a little bit of Scott Pilgrim too, but for the most part,
Yeah.
I love this. This is looking great. If I'm excited for any in terms of the we've gotten two like Stephen King, like
This is the year of Stephen
literally the
King.
other two Stephen King adaptations, I gave a perfect
Yes.
5 out of 5 on Letterboxd. So let's see if we keep that tradition going because
Mhm.
The Monkey I loved and Life of Chuck I loved for very different reasons, but this definitely feels like in terms of the movies that we've gotten this year, this feels like a mix between The Monkey and The Long Walk, where it's like dystopian shit.
Yep.
And then, then you have like the outlandish kind of comedy aspect. I love that. Like Michael Cera just going insane. Like I want that. Like
This is great. I was like, this was so
and
good.
I love like it's just Michael Cera just perpetually being a teenager. Like he can't even fucking grow a beard properly. Love it. But yeah, this looks like a ton of fun. And
Oh my God,
a reminder of the Edgar Wright that we love so much. So
yep.
Yeah,
love it. Oh my God, yeah, this has Hot Fuzz energy. You're right, man. This is you know what? Here's the thing: we live in an era where escapist entertainment is the way to go, right? People just want to be entertained when they go to the movies, right? I mean, that's always been true, but now more than ever, like what we want is just fun time. Like we want to get away from the craziness of the world, of our day-to-day lives. You want to just go and have fun and just be whisked away into a different world.
Although
and I feel like the movies that do that the best are the ones that are doing really well. This one feels like it has that quality to it.
Yeah. So, also fun fact, because I was looking up, it was like, so in the book, he does have a daughter that
I love
he
Hot
needs,
Fuzz.
like, who's sick and
Yeah.
he needs to help. But ironically, the book takes place in the far-off year of 2025. So it's perfect timing that we get the adaptation in
2025.
So I think they upped it to like 2040s in the movie. But yeah,
which makes sense because it is like it's close enough that it feels like our world, but it's like a step removed from where we are today. It's not that far, it's not like you're watching Blade Runner, right? Like it's not that far removed from our world. So yeah. Hot Fuzz energy, Baby Driver energy. Like I said, kind of like the mechanics of the movie's plot feel like the Hunger Games, except obviously this book came out well before the Hunger Games ever did. So it's like the Hunger Games feel more like this. So, but obviously people will make the comparison. So, and Edgar Wright, I think, is one of the best directors today, and he's got that distinct style. And that to me is something that, we could always use that. Just any way that you can make a movie yours is the way to go. And the fact that they got Arnold Schwarzenegger to be like, you know what, go ahead and do this. Not that they needed that, because it's not like Arnold owns the rights to the franchise by any means. But I mean, I think Paramount's got a really good movie on their hands, Sean. Like this comes out November 7th. So it's still a ways away. But like this trailer, I swear to God, man, I'm going to watch it probably at least a dozen more times because it looks fantastic, man. Yeah, Ron, go watch it when it comes out in November. I'm sure we'll be talking about it. Liz will review it. We know that they showed a lot of this footage at CinemaCon earlier this year. It looked fantastic then. It looks amazing now. There's still some stuff they haven't shown us that they showed in the CinemaCon presentation, but so far it looks fantastic. So guys, let us know in the comments down below. What did you think about the Running Man trailer? Earlier we talked about the Cat in the Hat trailer. Two very different movies, but I personally thought that the trailer for the Running Man is probably the best trailer that we have seen in quite some time. So let us know what you thought about that, and are you more excited for the movie as it gets closer to coming out this November, which is still a ways away, but you know what, it will sneak up on us, I'm sure. So it is already July, but with that in mind, let's switch over and let's talk about the quick hit, shall we? Because we have more news to get into, but we're going to get into it at a breakneck pace, and I'm going to bring in the music on. Let's dive into the quick hits, because then after that we got more Superman stuff to talk about. So the very first quick hit we got is this article in Deadline. Pete Hammond is like their awards critic. So he was pointing out that so far, halfway through 2025, according to him, there's only really one movie released in the past 6 months that is guaranteed a Best Picture nomination. And the one he's talking about, to no surprise of anybody, is Sinners. John, do you agree that Sinners is really the only guaranteed Best Picture nomination so far in the year 2025?
I don't think it's for sure. I don't know. I don't think so. I could maybe see it, but like honestly, it just like the Academy is so unpredictable. Like one year they do like they have The Shape of Water winning, but then another year they have the fucking Green Book winning. So it's like I have no clue what to expect anymore. Here's the thing. I'd more so believe this if it came out during Oscar season in like October, November, December. But the fact that like this is the movie everyone's going gaga over, but it came out in April, it's less like the sheen and the recency bias. The sheen will scrub off, the recency bias will set in.
I still think though this is a movie that stands out though. I feel like this movie
think it's
won't
phenomenal.
disappear.
I think it's a great movie. However, Ulysses, right? They're snobbish about horror. But
PLO also saying it's gonna be at least nominated, right? That's what we're talking about right now. You can't not nominate it.
I can maybe see it being nominated, but outside of that, I don't know.
I personally think this is guaranteed to get a Best Picture nomination, regardless of whether it wins or not. We will just have to wait and see again what else is out this year that's going to be competing in the category. But as far as the nomination goes, I personally am convinced that it will be nominated. Speaking of movies coming out next year, though, John, Devil Wears Prada 2 has started filming with Meryl Streep, Anne Hathaway, Emily Blunt, and Stanley Tucci all returning, but now joined by Kenneth Branagh as well, John. We know that this movie now holds the same release date in May of next year that Avengers Doomsday originally held before it moved to December of 2026. Mm-hmm. Your thoughts on this one? Gird your loins, they're all coming back. The movie has started production.
Don't care.
The dumbest movie won last year. Well, it's relative. It's all about, the people who vote. So, we all hope that this one is as good as the first one. Will it be? Well, I guess we'll find out. So, I do not want to subscribe to your newsletter. Indiana Jones. There's a reboot planned at Lucasfilm, John. Now, the scoop here is coming from the Diz Insider, or the Diz Insider. I don't want to imply this is a Jeff Snyder situation, but basically they were saying Disney wants to kind of implement a cool-off period for the franchise. So, let the franchise kind of simmer for a bit. They just put out a movie that wasn't the best, most well-received. But here in the article, they said after they let the franchise rest, the idea is they're going to reboot. They're going to bring in a new actor. Obviously, Harrison Ford is a little bit too old. But the question that I have for you, John, Indiana Jones, is it even worth going back in the well and rebooting it? Do you think that IP just does it even work in today's world, or would Disney just be wasting their time trying to reboot it at all?
I think they're wasting their time. I think it's just it's just like nobody else is Harrison Ford. I'm sorry, but nobody else is Indy. I understand Sean Patrick Flannery was technically, he was young Indiana Jones. That was like a whole different thing. But in terms of that, Harrison Ford is Indiana Jones. Nobody else is truly Indiana Jones. So if you want
not
to make
young Indiana
money,
Jones, but younger.
It's just like I could say, we're gonna have Tom Holland or Chris Pratt play Indiana Jones, and it's just it's not. It's
in that movie.
The thing is, you motherfuckers made Solo. Everybody complained that Alden Ehrenreich was not bad, but he wasn't Han Solo because only Harrison Ford is Han Solo. So why would you look at that and be like, this thing that failed, that killed any spin-off movies? Yeah, let's do that again, but with Indiana Jones. Are you stupid? And let's do that after it shows that. And the thing is, Indiana Jones was never a $1 billion franchise. They were great movies, but they weren't the biggest money. The biggest moneymaker was Indiana Jones 4, and that was I don't know, 500, 600 million. So it's I feel like they're looking in the wrong pot. It just it doesn't. I feel like that just doesn't make sense to me. If you want to stick with $1 billion franchises, stick with Marvel, stick with Star Wars. Those are $1 billion franchises. Indiana Jones was never a $1 billion franchise. It just doesn't make sense to me.
Here's what I'll say. I think Indiana Jones has a potential with the right actor to lead the way to be a really good franchise. I personally think we should do a fan casting for Indiana Jones. I thought about it for a while, and I think maybe Glenn Powell, who's got The Running Man coming out, could make for a really great younger Indiana Jones. I'm not saying they're ever going to do a young Indiana Jones like a kid, but
it would be
bring
funny
him
if
in.
If they brought back Sean Patrick Flannery. He's 59 now, but that would be
come
funny.
on. No. If you're going to do a new version, you got to start with somebody in their 30s at the least, right? We don't need Tom Holland to be in another Indiana franchise, but I think Glenn Powell could be a good fit if they were to do a reboot, and then just see how well it does. I mean, it has to be well written. You want to again kind of capture that sense of adventure. It's going to be a matter of like, do you just reboot the movies and then you just revisit the same stories? Do you go in a different direction? But like Indy is at his best where when he's like kicking some Nazi butt and just making his adventures back in the 40s, 50s, 60s, like those times, like not something that's going to take place in the present or relative present day. I mean, they already tried to reboot Willow and that didn't work out. So out of all the Lucasfilm franchises, they're trying to reboot.
What are they going to reboot next? American Graffiti? That's the only other one they have left.
Or THX? Is that? But I mean, look, Star Wars is never gonna get rebooted because it's a huge like world that they're it's so vast. They're never gonna reboot that. So comparing a Han Solo situation to this, I think is also a bit of a false comparison. But still, I wouldn't mind seeing a new Indiana Jones. It just needs to be a few years. That like they said, there's gonna be a cool off period, and after that, maybe they can go in a new direction. But hey, speaking of new directions, John, of course, Marvel is finally gonna get to do their own version of the X-Men, and the rumor right now is that Bella Ramsey from The Last of Us is being eyed to play Kitty Pryde in their new X-Men reboot, which we now know Jake Schreier is pretty much, he's not officially been confirmed, but he's pretty much, everything but been officially confirmed by Marvel to be directing the movie. Mm-hmm. Do you think that Bella Ramsey could be a good fit for this or not?
I think she could be a good fit. She's going to be a dad, so, I just think like I just feel bad for how she's been treated. She's kind of stuck on the show that with this past season hasn't had the best writing. So, I feel bad in that respect. Maybe if like with a really good writer, really good director, she can do great things. So yeah, I think that could be really cool.
Yeah. Hello to Monique. How are you doing, Monique? Joining in a bit late today, but that's all right. I hope you are doing great. If you want to check out any of the things we talked about earlier, Be Kind and Rewind, because we have been, as you can tell, on the air for the last couple of hours. We got still a ways to go, though. So speaking of ways to go, Herbie has a ways to go as it makes its way around the IMAX theaters. He goes and visits some of the conference rooms. Nice to meet everybody. I can tell that this is a CGI Herbie, other than, I mean, is he actually? No, maybe some of this is a real Herbie, but there's definitely shots in here where I'm like, that's CGI. But it's a nice new promo for IMAX, and it's showing a lot of the same footage, though. John, your thoughts on the new Fantastivision Herbie IMAX promo? Talking about how good the experience is in IMAX.
Cool.
The Fantastimeter. I love it. It looks great. You guys should check this out. But speaking of the Fantastic Four, it looks like Marvel had to tell Fantastic Four's Pedro Pascal to kind of pull back his 60s mid-Atlantic accent because he was really laying it on thick. And they had, he said to Vanity Fair, Marvel had a dialect coach that was sort of going to help us into that kind of dialect. And I took it to it so well, they were like, talk more like yourself. I had a hard time doing that, said Pedro.
We don't do that here. We don't do that here at Marvel.
He's like, I was so into that era, which for me was something to step into, so it's different than what we've seen before. It's
just,
I don't understand the logic. I mean, I kind of get it.
Marvel is a brand; they're not about filmmaking. It's just like Pedro Pascal, who's like trying to act, and Marvel's like, "Don't do that. Don't like act. Come on, what do you think this is?" Like, it's just like, I don't know. It's just like so ridiculous to me. It's like this guy is like trying to go above and beyond for your fucking movie and like have it take place, like feel more in the setting, and it's like no, which further proves my biggest concern with this movie is that it's just another standard Marvel movie with a retrofuturism coat of paint. That's all it is. And this further proves that it's just Pedro Pascal being Pedro Pascal, but he has stretchy powers. So
yeah. I will say though, the movie's marketing is picking up, even though it's not really feeling like the event movie that Superman feels like. It is kind of weird to see I get it. They were trying to have him maybe pull it back because maybe the other actors weren't quite on that same level.
Hang on.
So
The Watcher. All right. Now we're cooking.
That might not be so bad because he also loves Star Wars.
I've heard both movies are excellent watches. Yeah. The original with Robert Mitchum and Gregory Peck, and then the remake with Nick Nolte and Robert De Niro. I've heard both are great.
Yeah, I do hope that they are able to build up more hype around this. Like PLO not quite feeling it, but Frankie thinks it's. I mean, look, I'm gonna go see it. I think it's looking good, but they just haven't been able to market it to the level that Superman has been marketed. But you know what? They did release a new TV spot for the movie, John. It looks nice. You know, a lot of the same footage we have seen before. It looks like Pedro was almost out of breath there. We've seen that shot many a times. It looks great, relatively speaking. I can't tell if this is Chinese or Japanese. Somebody let me know what language this is, but certainly an international TV spot, which is showing some of the same footage we've seen from the other trailers. So you can see they're continuing to market the movie and really pick up the pace, which, I mean, at this point they have to. And speaking of which, John, they posted on their own social media, their Instagram account for Fantastic Four, Maisie's Delicatessen, which is, of course, the Thing's favorite place to pick up a cookie, his favorite snack. What do you think about the look of this? It looks pretty cool to me. Looks like we're getting it in the movie, so there we go. Yep. Exactly. David Cornsweet could be a great Indiana Jones for what it's worth. He definitely could be. But yeah, stick to Superman for now, David. Luke Cage's house design has been leaked on the internet by Unboxed PhD John. Now, of course, this could be just a code name because this would be for Avengers Doomsday. They also had, what was it, like Iron Fist house or something like that, but they looked like these mid-century modern homes, like the design.
I mean, it says 1960s, so
right. So people are speculating that these are just code names. Luke Cage, Iron Fist. They're likely not in the movie, or certainly don't play a big role. These could potentially be more likely, Reed Richards and Victor Von Doom's houses from back in the day. And they're just obviously trying to throw the people off who obviously, like in this situation, this drawing has ended up on the internet. So what are your thoughts? Do you think this is actually Luke Cage's house in the movie, or this is just
I wish, but I don't think that's the case.
Yeah, the house looks pretty roomy though. I don't mind it. The retro vibe is cool. All right, moving on to the next thing. Remember I told you earlier we're going to talk about Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man a little bit more? Well, guess what, John? A couple of days ago, on Monday, because now we've kind of crossed over on the East Coast here into Wednesday. We started the show on Tuesday. So on Monday, it was a 21-year anniversary of Spider-Man 2 being released in the theaters, and with Doc Ock and those iconic sequences. It made me feel old because I'm like, holy shit, it's been 21 years. If this movie was a baby or a human being, it could now officially drink. So at age 21, it's over 2 decades old. It's crazy to me. We're talking not even the first Spider-Man. This is Spider-Man 2 is 21 years old, John. Like, does that throw you off a little bit? Does it make you
I
feel
don't
a
think
bit
so.
old?
Time is a cruel mistress, but you got to work with it.
Yeah. It was certainly, I think, for a lot of people, the best movie in the trilogy. I think for me, easily the best film in that franchise. And it's quite frankly, yeah, one of the best superhero movies is still today. It holds up well in a lot of ways. There's some aspects of it that don't hold up as well, but it's still, there's a reason why Alfred Molina's Doc Ock was brought back for Spider-Man No Way Home, is because how much people still love that iteration of the franchise. So he is timeless, like Monique was saying. Frankie was a freshman in high school. I was a lot younger than you, Frankie, but we all saw the movie, and 21 years ago now. So maybe you guys can go check it out on Blu-ray, or I think it's on one of the streaming services. But anywho, getting into the casted, dated, and greenlit part of the quick hits, Mackenzie Davis is set to star opposite Josh Hartnett in Netflix's Newfoundland limited series. John, we've been talking about this for a while. There's like more and more castings happening for this. So Mackenzie Davis, the latest to join the show. Still curious what it's ultimately going to look like, but your thoughts here? Do you care?
I have never heard of this before, but I do.
Remember, this is the Josh Hartnett show that we talked about that Netflix is going to have?
I don't remember that. But I like Josh Hartnett and I like Mackenzie Davis. Maybe I'll give it a watch.
All right, cool. Let's keep on going here to the next one. It looks like Spider-Man 2 is on Disney Plus. There you go. Thank you, Easy. Well, Adrian Grenier, speaking of The Devil Wears Prada, the sequel is now in production, and Adrian Grenier, who played Andy, Andy's boyfriend, I should say, Nate, in the original movie, he's not going to be back.
It makes sense. They broke up at the end of the movie.
Yeah,
why would he
exactly.
come back?
Yep. And with that, we move on to the next thing. Jennifer Aniston set to star in I'm Glad this ad is going away. I'm Glad My Mom Died, the series at Apple TV Plus based on iCarly star Jeanette McCurdy's memoir. I didn't even know this was a thing, and now I'm incredibly interested because I was a big fan of iCarly.
This. Apple TV, so, they know what's up. So
yeah, I mean, and Jennifer Aniston obviously has a great working relationship with them because she's been still doing the morning show. So I can't wait to see what this becomes. And Jeanette McCurdy, her story, if you guys know, it's just incredible. How all of that has played out over the years. We're gonna skip past that Donald Trump situation. Wait, what is going on there? Oh, okay, all right, okay. Maybe the merger will finally happen. Okay, The Bachelor has been renewed for season 30 by ABC with Bachelor in Paradise's Scott Teddy, whatever, as the new showrunner. John, do you care for the Bachelor?
I don't give
season 30.
I don't care. I don't care. Why is this here?
Moving on to the next thing. Michael Imperioli joins Patrick Dempsey. With these things. God, go away. Patrick Dempsey in Fox Hitman thriller series Memory of a Killer, John. That cast is looking pretty impressive to me. It's a new Hitman thriller series, Memory of a Killer. Michael Imperioli joining Patrick Dempsey. Looks interesting. Would you watch the show with those two stars in the leads?
Maybe.
All right. Cool. I have not seen Smoke, Hosea, but I am interested. I saw the trailer for that the other day. It looks okay. I mean, he's Taron Egerton's done a lot of stuff for Apple TV Plus, and he hasn't missed so far from what I've seen. Earthquake teams with fellow comedian Bill Burr for multi-camera comedy and works at Fox. Another Fox show, John. Would you watch this?
I'd watch it. Let's go.
Hell yeah.
Give me more Bill Burr.
Ron says no. All right. Well, moving on to the next thing. Outlander. That show on? I think it's on Starz. They've created a spin-off, Outlander: Blood of My Blood. But before the series has even debuted, they've already greenlit a season 2. So that's usually a good sign that the show is going to do well. John, what are your thoughts on this Outlander spin-off? Did you ever watch the original show?
I watched a lot of Outlander. I don't know where I dropped off. I just know that it was starting to get bad, and I just kind of fell off. But maybe I'll give this a watch. I don't know if I'm like screwing up because even though it's like totally different, I don't know. But maybe it's good, maybe it isn't. We'll see.
Yeah, well, it's always a good sign that they renewed it for season 2 before the season 1 even comes out. But hey, Brie Larson, speaking of new seasons of a show, he just joined the season 4 cast of The Bear, which of course dropped all of his episodes at once on Hulu. And her character kind of answers one of the show's biggest mysteries. Danielle Deadweiler also appears in the standout installment, written by Ayo Edebiri and Lionel Boyce. So we're not going to really go into the spoilers here, but we just wanted to mention that Brie Larson's now, of course, joined the show. I know, John, that you have been watching The Bear. You were a fan of the show, or at least maybe used to be the fan of the show. Your thoughts on Brie Larson being part of the cast now?
Don't care.
Cool. Well, if you don't care about that, maybe you'll care about this, because officially today, they greenlit season 5 for The Bear over at FX. So it looks like we're going to get a season 5, despite the fact that most people thought season 4 was the last one. It looks like it's going to be coming back for more. What do you think about this?
I think that's dumb, because they said season 4 would be the ending. I don't want more, because season 3 was fucking terrible. My parents have said season 4 is terrible. So I don't know, how the show that used to be so good and then got so bad so quickly is just
This might just be a zombie season if that's the case, because I don't know. I mean, I've heard kind of
it might be thing. What was it, Scrubs season 9, season 8, season 9, the last season, where it was supposed to end with the previous season, and then it got greenlit. They're like, oh fuck, we don't know what to do, so they're like, it's gonna be about a new cast, and then everyone hated it and it sucked and it's not canon to Scrubs fans. So yeah, I think it was just no, Heroes, the thing that killed Heroes was the writer's strike.
That show could have gone on for a lot longer. It only lasted 2 seasons, right? Yeah.
No, I think it was 3 or 4 or 5.
Was it? Oh, okay.
It just tanked and
the writers
never recovered.
Yeah, because the writers left. That's why.
Yeah.
All right, moving on to the next thing. We do still have a few other things to get into in the quick hits. I know that the Watcher brought this up earlier, so let's address it, shall we? Because the Watcher mentioned how, there's a new villain in town for the new Street Fighter movie. Of course, the Suicide Squads and from Ant-Man and the Wasp, David Dastmalchian. He's now joining up with the cast of Street Fighter to play the lead villain, M. Bison. John, are you excited about this? Already got a lot of big names. You have Jason Momoa in there. You got 50 Cent. You got Roman Reigns, Noah Centineo, Andrew Koji, Orville Peck, Kitao Sakurai is directing the movie. You've got a screenplay, written by the same writer as Captain America: Brave New World, which doesn't give me a ton of confidence. But Kalina Liang. I mean, this movie already has a huge stacked cast, and now David Dastmalchian joins in as the latest addition to the franchise. What are your thoughts about this, Sean?
I mean, is he a great pick? Absolutely. Will the movie be good? Probably not, because with this fucking weird bonkers cast that doesn't make sense, I can't imagine that this movie will be that good. But yeah, they got a good choice for this.
Yeah, absolutely. I love this pick. I mean, David Dastmalchian is one of those actors who always elevates the material, so hopefully this is going to be the same thing here. He can act. He's going to pull off them bison faces. There you go. Writer's strike exactly is what killed the heroes, essentially. So, yeah. No AEW wrestlers? Yeah, so far, no. I mean, I don't know. It would be nice to see a crossover. Maybe if they could bring in Kenny Omega. Like, Kenny Omega would be a perfect fit for a Street Fighter movie if they did do that. It is definitely much better and much more of an A-list cast than Mortal Kombat. So we'll just have to just see how this turns out. But it does go pretty damn hard, Watcher. I agree with you on that one. Moving over to Instagram for the next one, John. It looks like Superman and Toyota do have that official promotion going on. This like a bit of a cross promotion between the movie and, of course, Toyota's new lineup of electric vehicles, especially the all-electric BZ, which is a stupid name for a car. But anyway, it looks like Lois Lane is the one who drives it. That's her car in the movie. Your thoughts on this one?
And it seems like Hall of Justice might be canon in the movie. So
exactly. I mean, that's definitely interesting. We saw a little bit of this yesterday, but like more footage from behind the scenes. So, yeah. Wait, what's Cody Rhodes announced for the Street Fighter movie? Well, I mean, I guess that he's been in both companies, so there you go. Agree with you, Bane will break you. You're talking still about the David Dastmalchian news. Moving on to the next thing, more Superman news, John. They are partnering with the Best Friends Animal Society to cover the adoption costs for. I believe this is for the next few weeks or for the next couple of months, maybe. Or actually, no, just from July 1st to July 10th, all of your adoption costs will be covered. And it turns out the Best Friends Animal Society has the perfect doggy. He goes by the name Clark Kent, which is just perfect. It's just perfect. And he's kind-hearted, charismatic. He loves to play with other dogs. Knows sit and stay. What a smart guy. He's 4 years old, enjoys the finer things in life, like sampling all different kinds of treats, and he's known for his fast wagging tail. John, would you adopt Clark Kent?
It would be a big responsibility, so probably not, but I would hope he goes to a nice home with people that can properly care for him. I have my own handful to deal with, so, but I bet he is the goodest of boys. Yeah. Yep. Is he a pit bull? Would you call? I don't know what breed this is specifically. Or do they mention that here? Let's see. I can't really tell if they mention it here. But hey, Clark Kent, you can adopt Clark Kent right now. Looks great. Looks great, man. All the marketing for this is fantastic, and this is, I mean, I don't care if this is marketing or not. He's a handsome boy. It is a pit bull. Thank you, Nico. There you go. What a beautiful boy. Looks like a pet. Thanks for all of the comments in the chat. Let's keep the ball rolling here, John, because we do have a new art and making of the film book coming out soon from Superman. So they've given us a date now. So if you're a fan of collecting these, I don't collect it for every movie I see, but every once in a while, a movie that I'm really, really, in love with or have seen multiple times and really enjoyed, especially the production design and stuff. Getting an art and making of the film book, I mean, for Superman, count me in. It comes out on November 18th of this year. So I'm going to definitely be getting that. And yes, this is the perfect. Definitely Christmas looks really present. Cool. Yeah.
It definitely does look, and it looks amazing. I can't wait to get my hands on one. So I'm probably gonna pre-order it myself if I can. But yeah, guys, let us know in the chat. What do you think? Is this one that you would go for yourself, or maybe you're not a big fan of these? I personally love these. I really do. Now, moving on to the next thing. It could be a great birthday present too. Absolutely, it could be a great birthday present. Oh, really? Okay. You know what, Elite Easy? I'm gonna save your comment that Cody Rhodes is in the works. So potentially to join Street Fighter. We will get into that. I think we're all gonna be buying that book. Don't you worry about that. As soon as it comes out, November 18th. Keep that date on lock. So with that though, we're gonna move on to the next thing, which is so far the highest grossing movies of the year. These are just 8 movies, not like a top 10 list. But the 8 of the highest grossing movies of the year include a Minecraft movie, Lilo and Stitch, Tom Cruise's Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning. You also have How to Train Your Dragon, Captain America: Brave New World, Thunderbolts, Sinners, and Final Destination: Bloodlines. You can see 2 movies at the very top, almost billion-dollar movies. I feel like in a few weeks, Lilo and Stitch might actually cross $1 billion. Minecraft got really close at 954. Then Mission Impossible is still the 3rd highest grossing movie of the year. How to Train Your Dragon is still in theaters. Captain America 4, Thunderbolts, Sinners, Final Destination, all making respectable money. You look at the studios behind these. You've got, of course, Warner Brothers at the very top with Minecraft, Lilo and Stitch is Disney. Then you got Paramount. Then you have Universal with How to Train Your Dragon. Of course, then you have 2 Disney movies with the 2 Marvel ones, Captain America 4 and Thunderbolts. Then the last 2 are, of course, Warner Brothers movies. So Warner Brothers still has 3 in the list. Disney has 3 in the list. Universal and Paramount making a bit of a dent. So yeah, I mean, this list will change. You guys let us know how this list is going to change, because I feel like over the course of the next few weeks, we're getting at least 3 or 4 movies that are going to bump probably half of this list out the way. So, but I mean, as far as Sinners go, it wasn't a dirty and cheap movie in terms of how they made it. That movie is oozing production quality. Especially because they shot some of it with IMAX film cameras. Like, Ryan Coogler talked to Christopher Nolan, and he was like, you should do this. So but yeah, this is a big W for Warner Brothers, because while Disney is used to being on these kind of lists, Warner Brothers definitely doing a much better job this year for themselves. John, but speaking of highest grossing movies, looking ahead to next year, I mean, Avengers Doomsday is actually in December, but still, summer of 2026, you're gonna get Shrek 5. You're going to get a Toy Story 5. Of course, we're getting Supergirl and Mandalorian and Grogu. Spider-Man Brand New Day, which is starting to look even better considering the work that Tom Holland and John Bernthal are doing on the Odyssey together. And they will be in that movie together. And then, of course, the Masters of the Universe movie. John, this summer is fantastic, but I feel like next summer is also looking pretty gosh darn good.
The only one I'm excited for here are Supergirl and Spider-Man, and that's kind of it.
I mean, but
Shrek
even
5,
with Avengers coming out in December,
Toy Story 5, I don't care. Mandalorian, I don't care. Masters of the Universe, everything got thrown out when they revealed it was going to take place on Earth. So yeah. I'm hyped for Project Hail Mary. That's what I'm excited for. So I know that's
not even on the list here, but that's also coming out in summer of next year. That looks
that's
fantastic.
March, so that's like spring. So
yeah. Oh, look, the Spider-Man Brand New Day and Supergirl are still a good ways apart, so it won't be. It will be more of a
June and July.
Fantastic Four Superman situation where they're at least a couple of weeks apart. So, yeah, I don't think they're gonna run into each other or have any trouble, with both movies making money. So, with that though, guys, we have come to the end of the quick hits. So, let me just close off the music here, and then we're gonna move on to our next segment because. That's it for the news. That's it for the quick hits. I know you guys have been waiting to get to DCU Daily. Don't you worry, we're gonna get to that soon enough. But let us know in the comments down below what you thought about all the quick hits. Which of those topics were your favorite? And of course, the news topics we had before that. Did you enjoy that? If you did, hit the like button. We're not done yet though, because next up we are now getting into Tier List Tuesday. Because of course it was a Tuesday, believe it or not, when we started the show. And so we like to talk about, tier lists on Tuesdays. And today we decided that we were going to do a tier list for the best replacement directors. So this is a little bit of a hypothetical because, of course, we know so far Andy Muschietti, as of right now, officially, he's still the one set to direct the new Batman Brave and the Bold movie in the DCU. But it seems like if you go off of what James Gunn has been saying recently, you know, he may not be entirely convinced. Andy Muschietti may not be entirely convinced that he's still going to direct that movie. So we figured this might be the time, John. This was your suggestion that we maybe rank a few, options. Maybe give James Gunn and Peter Safran a few names to work with as potential replacement directors for the Brave and the Bold movie that they're working on over at DC Studios. What are your thoughts on this before we dive into the names? I'm going to pull that up shortly, but I wanted to hear from you and your rationale behind doing this now, considering that Andy Muschietti still, as of today, officially he's still attached to the project.
Yeah, so I remember, I think it was The Watcher was saying yesterday that like, oh, Drew Goddard is being considered. So and maybe that's rumor mill. So we'll see it. We'll see. But like, I think what I want to do here with the tier list, because all of these are great choices. So what I'm gonna suggest for this is not how good they'd be to direct a Batman movie, because I think all of them would be excellent choices. How likely it would be for them to direct a Batman movie in the future. So that's because the thing is, all of these choices, we did bring Drew Goddard in here. We did bring, Lee DZ. We did bring in Sam Raimi. We so here's the thing. We did bring in, like, I think all of these are like A to S tier, maybe a couple B tier here and there, but like, I think all of these would be a great job. However, I'm going with likelihood instead of how much, because it's like, who am I gonna, like, oh yeah, let's get who's it, like a Jonathan Liebsman to fucking direct a Batman movie. Like, I'm not gonna do that. That's not interesting, but I'm gonna go with the likelihood. I think, Dan, do you think that makes sense? Because I think all of these are great choices.
There are great choices, and you picked 8 names. That's quite a few to work with. I mean, that's more than just a short list. That's a list of just great picks.
That's a long list.
That's a long list. It's not a short list. The Goddard is the Watcher's favorite pick. I mean, Enterprising's still kind of thinking on it. Marco is here. Hello, Marco. Welcome on to the show.
So obviously, you guys can make the tier list like however, in terms of who you like, and do that for the public one. I'm just saying for us, because since I personally picked all of these guys and I'm a little biased to all of these, that I'm going with likelihood. But you guys can tier list, rank them however which way you want. So.
Yeah. All right. Well, let me see if I can. What I'm going to do before we get started here. By the way, I want to say hi to Marco in the chat. I'm going to post the tier list link in the chat for you guys. So this is a public, voting available tier list. So like, it's a public tier list. Voting is available for the next. Right now, I think the clock says 21 and a half hours. So you guys can go and vote on it yourself, and you can follow along with us as we do our votes. So, John, without further ado, let's dive into it, shall we? So, ranking replacement directors for Batman, Brave and the Bold. Like I said, you guys can do the vote yourself. Just click the link in the chat. It's pinned to the top of the chat if you're watching live, and go ahead and cast your vote. But starting off with Antoine Fuqua, John, how likely is he to take over directing duties for Batman, Brave and the Bold?
Yeah, so I think the first one we have, that would be an interesting choice. No, please God, no. So in terms of Anton Fuqua, I think buddy. I'm gonna say I think this would be an A tier choice. However, in terms of likelihood, I think that would be C tier. I don't think he's he's a little bit more likely than some of the other guys on this list, but I don't think he's incredibly likely, but he would, I think, be an excellent choice for the role. So yeah, I think Antoine Fuqua would be a great choice, but I think C tier is probably the most, is like likelihood in terms of film. So then Bong Joon-ho, I think this would be S tier in terms of like him, how good he would direct the movie. But in terms of like him being chosen, that's like, I would say that's B tier, because he is with Warner Brothers right now. So that's a little bit more.
Okay, John, I'm just going to say this before we continue, though. You got to let me know where, because I put Antoine Fuqua on the A tier, because like, you got to let me know where we're putting
it. So then fuck what I said, and we'll just, all these guys are like S and A tier, so there goes that. But, I would say Bong Joon-ho, that would be S tier. Let's just go with S tier.
Okay. All right. Because I just want to make sure we're consistent with the logic. Dan Trachtenberg, what do you think?
So Dan Trachtenberg, Again, I don't think he's very likely because he's busy with the Predator franchise. I don't think he would be the greatest choice, but I think it shows that he can do indie stuff very well, but also big budget blockbusters very well.
Bong Joon-ho is,
And
yeah.
um,
Yeah.
but I think like that's kind of like a perfect like middle of the road of like he can do like a grimy and gritty Batman, but also can do something extravagant and like with a big budget. So I would personally put Dan Trachtenberg maybe in hmm I would put him in it's in between A or B tier. Dan, what do you think? I mean, did you see Prey or Killer of Killers or 10 Cloverfield Lane?
Prey was really good. I haven't seen Killer. I have not seen Killer of Killers. Um, Dan Trachtenberg in a combination of most likely versus best fit. Uh, Brave and the Bold, I feel like is such a big step up that I wouldn't put him higher than B because it's
Okay.
a different kind of challenge because it's Batman. It's like one
Yeah.
of the premier franchises in Hollywood. So there were no expectations for Prey or even Killer of Killers, right? It's like it's a dead franchise that you're trying to revive. And like so that the expectation was so low, the bar was so low that I mean, you know, not saying that he made just a passable movie. He made great movies. I'm just saying that it's going to be a different kind of spotlight, and like, can he, stand up to the scrutiny? That's what I'm wondering. So, like, maybe B tier because I just don't know. I mean, then again, James Gunn might be like, give it your best shot. Like, you might be a good fit. It just depends on the pitch, that he has, the vision that he sees for the movie based on the script. So, yeah.
So I would say
yeah.
B tier.
Okay, B tier. Let's put that in for B tier. Let's move on to the next one, though. We've got David Fincher on the list. Question from
S tier.
Manos Time: is this tier list for
S
a
tier.
Batman movie director, or is it only and strictly for a Batman and Robin director? We're talking about Batman: Brave and the Bold specifically. Like, if there were to let go of Andy Muschietti, bring in a different director, which of these 8 names that we're going through is going to be the best fit, most likely fit? So we're trying to like put those pieces together. So to answer your question, Manos Time. But yeah, please more dark and gritty. It's no more dark and gritty. It's been done. Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
Elite Easy. It just depends.
David Fincher S tier.
S tier.
He would, if he actually liked superhero movies, if he would actually be willing to do them, he would direct the greatest Batman movie of all time without a singular doubt in my mind. However, likelihood, that's like FGHZ tier in terms of he almost directed Blade, he almost directed Spider-Man, he almost directed a couple of different, he almost directed he's almost directed all these big franchises, but in terms of him actually doing it, no way in hell. However, I think David Fincher would direct the best Batman movie. However,
but remember, you got to remember this Batman movie is this is the Batman movie with Robin, the Damian Wayne Robin. So there is already a certain restriction. Like you're already kind of working in a box, and I don't know if David Fincher would be comfortable with that. So he would probably want more freedom than maybe what he will be given, because he just handed a script, make this movie, may do your best with it, kind of like what Marvel does too. So I don't know. I'm sure there will be some creative leeway though.
I mean, have you seen Batman and Robin? Have you seen Batman and Batman Forever? Like, very not like that at all. So
bad credit card, never leave the house without
Drew
it.
Goddard. So this was
True.
like the big rumor that I think the Watcher talked about yesterday. That there's the likelihood that he will write and direct it. Obviously, that's just a rumor. We don't know if that's true or not. But honestly, I decided to add him to the list because he would just be a great, like, he's shown like Cabin in the Woods and Bad Times at the El Royale. I've watched Cabin in the Woods, great movie. I've heard Bad Times at the El Royale was fucking great. Pretty much everything he's ever written was great. So I think Drew Goddard, he definitely has like a dry wit. He understands the comedy, but he also can do darker stuff. So I think he belongs in S tier in terms of fit for Batman. But honestly, the likelihood out of all of these guys is the most because he's part of the DCU. He was part of the brainchild timeline writers room for this universe. So it makes sense that Drew Goddard would be probably the best choice out of all of these guys. So fit wise and likelihood. So
S tier for Drew Goddard.
Yes.
Awesome. All right, we got Drew Goddard in the S tier. So we are more than halfway through this now. So Jeremy Saulnier is up next. John, I'm not as familiar with his work. Like, who is Jeremy?
He's done Murder Party. He did Blue Ruin. He did Green Room. He just recently did another movie that I watched that I liked. Hold on, let me look that up actually, because he recently did another movie.
I will say though,
Rebel Ridge, with Jon Stewart himself. There you go.
But he's again, it's like it's a big jump to go from directing a Netflix movie to directing a Batman movie, right?
Exactly. So likelihood is low. Likelihood is probably C or D tier. In terms of him directing a Batman movie, I think he could, again, maybe not what the DCU is looking for. I think he would do like something like a darker indie movie. However, I still think he would do a good job. So I'd probably put him with Dan Trachtenberg. I'd probably put him in B tier. I think he would be a good choice. Maybe not the best choice, but I think a really good choice.
Okay.
So
all right, and now we've got
man
the
who
superstar.
dealt with bats, a different kind of bat. We got Ryan Coogler. You know, why don't I mean likelihood D tier. He's still at Marvel, and I know there's no exclusivity between Marvel and DC.
Well, I mean, he just did Sinners at Warner Brothers, so
when you're that's Dan, stop interrupting me.
Okay.
So in terms of superhero stuff, the likelihood is, and I understand there's no exclusivity, as Dan just said, he did do Sinners at Warner Brothers, and it's likely that he might, if he's, they were willing to work with him, it was a bona fide hit, he did a great movie, they would probably want to work with him again. And on top of the fact he has the superhero prowess, but it's like, he would probably want to do Black Panther 3 instead of Batman. But like, in terms of the two, like Black Panther, he's a great character, but come on, he's not Batman. Like, come on. So I think, there's no exclusivity. It's just like usually when you work with one, you don't really work with the other. I mean, obviously, like James Gunn and all that, he worked with both. I mean, obviously now he's the head honcho, but Ryan Coogler, I think, would be A tier. I think would be maybe not the best choice in my opinion, but I think Ryan Coogler would be a very, very, very good choice. Honestly, almost S tier, but I think A tier would be very good for him. So,
From one superstar to superstar director, Sam Raimi.
Yeah. Not bats, but spiders. And he's worked on 4 superhero films now, 5 if you count Darkman. But he did the Spider-Man trilogy, amazing. He did do Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. It's up in the air if he's going to do Doctor Strange 3 or if that's even happening. So I would say, Sam, since Marvel screwed over with what you had, we'll treat you better than the shit fucks down the street. Come over to the DC side. And he said he always wanted to do a Batman movie. He always wanted to do a Batman movie, and he always wanted to do a Shadow movie, but he couldn't get the rights, or like WB got the rights instead. So I would say Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness might not have been the greatest movie ever, but it did make Marvel a shit ton of fucking money. And the man directed what is considered by many to be one of the greatest superhero films of all time, with Spider-Man 2. So Sam Raimi, it's tough. Dan, I might need your expertise on this one because I'm between S and A tier. What do you think?
Here's the thing. One of the reasons why Doctor Strange 2 worked really well for Sam Raimi and for Kevin Feige was because he was so overstretched that he was like, you know what, I really felt comfortable just giving the movie to Sam Raimi and letting him do his thing. Like, he can't really do that with most directors. He kind of has to like be there and be a guide. I know that James Gunn would appreciate that because Sam Raimi is one of those auteuristic directors. Give him the script and let him do his thing, right? He's also not one of those directors who's like, I need to write the script myself. Sure, that he might come in and have some changes to be made and stuff, but I think Sam Raimi with the right script, which obviously James Gunn is the one who's supervising the script work right now, whoever is writing the movie, that is. But James Gunn ultimately will sign off on it, and if he can bring in Sam Raimi, the two of them will probably cross paths over at Marvel because they were working on Doctor Strange 2 and the Guardians 3 around the same time, and they probably know each other as well. So
yeah,
I think to that end, what I'll say is that Sam Raimi would be one of those rare package deals where you can give him the movie and expect a good product. Like, it automatically raises the floor of the movie and probably has a higher ceiling than some of these other directors. And then also Sam Raimi is really good at balancing the darker elements of a character like Batman with the lighter elements, because this Batman will be, not super campy, because James Gunn said he won't be, but he also won't be, super dark. Like, there will be some comedic elements. You have the Bat family, you have a lot of different characters. So I think Sam Raimi has shown over the years that he's got the ability to handle that. He has directed big studio movies. I feel like Sam Raimi would be one of the safer and yet, one of the best choices overall, because he can pull this off better than probably most directors. Because unlike Bong Joon-ho, who has limited experience with big studio pictures, and David Fincher works with his own style, and Drew Goddard obviously is a great fit because he's already in the brain trust of the new DC Studios. I think Sam Raimi kind of checks more boxes than, quite frankly, any of these candidates so far. He might be the best option here of all the picks that we've got, especially with his experience in the superhero genre too.
S for Sam, then. Let's put him in S tier then.
All right, S for Sam.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
Yep.
So that is who we have. Obviously, there was only so many fucking people that I could choose. Like, I know, like, somebody mentioned, like, where's the fucking Robert Eggers is never directing a goddamn Batman movie? Are you fucking Alfonso Cuarón's definitely not directing a Batman movie? Are you kidding me? Like, don't get me wrong, Robert Eggers, I think if it was a period piece Batman like Gotham by Gaslight, then 100% yes.
That's the one he wants to do.
We're talking about Brave and the Bold, aka a modern day Batman movie with Robin. Robert Eggers isn't touching that with a 39.5-foot pole. Like, that's just what it is. So yeah.
And Alfonso Cuarón, I think he was like in the running for Bond, but obviously that didn't work out. So I don't know. He's also somebody who at this point in his career wants to do what he wants to do. I don't know if he's going to be comfortable just being handed a script and told, like, direct this. Sam Raimi, that's why I think he's so good, because he can make the most of that situation. Sam Mendes,
he was another person I considered
be a good
for the
one.
list.
Yeah,
but I think but I think he, like, but he was considered. Like, I consider, like, Neil Marshall was another one I considered. I think he deserves another shot at a superhero flick. So comic book flick. So yeah, I think there's so many people that I think would do a good job. So yeah.
I mean, you've also got like Scott Derrickson. Like, that was an enterprising choice. Another good pick.
But I think he wants to kind of steer away from superhero flicks for a while. Yeah,
and then David Ayer.
No.
It's a big deal to give him a Batman movie.
No.
I don't know.
No.
Zack Snyder with a James Gunn script.
No.
Although if you're going to give Zack Snyder any DCU movie, I mean, I don't know.
Here's the thing, though. There's other comics besides Dark Knight Returns, and Zack Snyder doesn't know that. So he would just end up making Dark Knight Returns.
He also, you know what? He also said that the only way he's going to come back to DC for a project is if he gets to directly adapt that particular comic. So maybe he's not even interested. To be fair. So, yeah. But yeah, no, exactly. What Sam Raimi could do for Batman is what makes kind of similar to what Tim Burton did. Give him and that would be perfect. I think that would be almost perfect. Like, it depends on how it all fits together. Ben Affleck could be great too. I mean, as a director, that would be quite nice. But he's really publicly not expressed much interest in coming back to DC, and he's doing a lot of good stuff with his and Matt Damon's Artist Equity. They've just got a new a distribution deal with Sony, so I think he's busy doing that. I mean, James Gunn Batman movie would be nice. I just don't know if James Gunn has got the time, quite frankly, to just dive into another huge project like that. Plus, if there is a Superman sequel greenlit, which is likely to happen if this one does really well, then I'm guessing James Gunn goes directly into that one. It's not impossible that he brings in another director, but I mean that could be the most likely next movie that he works on. So yeah, Elseworlds options for Robert Eggers and a few of the other characters or other directors would be great. But John, the biggest thing here, I think you made a lot of good picks between Sam Raimi, Ryan Coogler, Jeremy Saulnier, Drew Goddard, David Fincher, Dan Trachtenberg, Bong Joon-ho, Antoine Fuqua. None of these names are bad choices at all. I think any of them would make great directors, not only for Batman, but for quite a few other movies in the DCU. We already know there's a number of other projects in the works, and I would love to see any of these directors be in the House of DC because they would do a great job. So thank you, Jose, for that comment. But like with that though, guys, let us know in the comments down below what you thought about the tier list. John doing a fantastic job as always, coming up with the choices. So hit that like button if you're enjoying the show. If you love the tier list Tuesdays, we will do more of these. If you have ideas for what you want to see for tier list Tuesday for next week, drop them down in the comments down below, and hit the like button, hit subscribe if you're new. We do this once a week, every week, and then we're here 5 days a week live with new shows. So hit the notification bell for that as well. And we'd love to hear from you any ideas for future episodes of Tier List Tuesday, because then we will actually literally take your ideas and turn them into next week's episode. So with that in mind, we're going to move into the main event of the show, of course, as per always. Like I mentioned before, the DCU Daily is coming up, and here it is finally. Let me see if I can pull up all the information that I need to get this up and running, because of course, as you can tell, we have switched up the graphics. It's time to get into DCU Daily. I know you guys are excited about it. Today we have a lot of Superman stuff to get into, as we pretty much have every day, quite frankly. And then we have some Batman stuff to get into as well. We'll talk about some Batman news potentially, and the Authority as well. And of course, Superman is in London, so or the team Superman is in London on their world tour. So to do that, to talk about all of that and so much more, I'm going to bring in John in a minute. He just had to step away for a second, but in the meantime, we've got a comment from Manos Time saying, by the way, Dan, there was a French screening last night, and they showed 30 minutes of Superman, and they all loved it, but found it insane that they're only showing 30 minutes of a movie coming out next week. Yeah, well, I think the reason why they're doing that is because
it's all good, John. To check something real quick.
I think the reason why they're only still showing 30 minutes is obviously they want to keep the spoilers intact, right? Like they don't want to give away everything until we get to the point where the movie is actually out. And the review embargo is still going to be up until July 7th. So it makes sense. I understand the confusion, but like it makes sense why they're doing that. All right, Watcher, we'll see you with that Spider-Man scoop. Or are you dropping it on your way out? Let us know. But we will definitely see the Watcher on the next show. He's dropping out. Drop it like it's hot. Oh, there it is. There's the scoop. I've heard that it's likely that Spider-Gwen will join the MCU. Ooh, interesting. Okay. I mean, is that going to be in the next Spider-Man movie, though? Because I feel like that's the most likely place for that to happen. Maybe that's what Sadie Sink is playing. Who knows? That's a good one. We'll keep that in mind, Watcher. Thank you for dropping that scoop here. We'll investigate that further and let you know what we come up with. But you guys let us know in the comments. Spider-Gwen potentially coming to the MCU. So Elite Easy with the sarcasm in the meantime. Let's get it started in here, John. What's your favorite story for that I mentioned earlier? All the Superman stuff, the Authority. We have got some stuff potentially for Batman. Where are you most looking forward to in DCU Daily?
Oh, God, so much Superman stuff. Just I like it when James Gunn talks about the movie that's like stuff we haven't seen before. Like I like it when he does that. That's all fun. So I'm looking forward to like those aspects.
Yep. With that in mind, I just want to say goodbye to the Watcher because he's going to be popping back in the next show, but he's been with us the whole show so far. I hope the second half of Superman doesn't have issues. Look, PLO, this is the thing. Ultimately, the movie it has to be good, and it's going to have to stand on its own merits. And so we are hoping that the remainder of the film, outside of just the first 30 minutes, are good.
I had some ice cream earlier today. In fact,
yeah,
I had this whole thing. It was so good. I had to eat the whole thing. It was hot. It was gross today. Okay, I'm sorry. I don't have control. That's why I need the Matt Damon regiment. I need like a personal chef, a personal trainer, and a personal gym. I need all the money in the world. Maybe not the steroids part, but like I need that.
There you go. Marco saying less than 2 weeks of Superman. Can't believe it's almost here. It has been a long wait, especially when you're talking about it 5 days a week. It feels even longer, guys. Like we've been doing this literally feels like forever now, and I can't believe the movie's finally here. I'm like I said, we have some very unrealistic expectations, I'm sure, but you got to go into the movie hoping that it's good, and then just judge it on its own merits. Um, James Gunn does talk about comics romantically, so that's also a good sign. He also knows his comics really well. I don't think John has enough to share with the class, but
because it's gone. It's
more than
gone.
a trainer is
Yeah,
needed, says
Caleb,
Caleb.
you know when you need a good fucking patch of duct tape on that fucking loudmouth of yours. And
Gosh
maybe like
darn
tied
it.
to a
Okay.
chair too.
All right. Well, we're gonna start the news off in DCU Daily with something a little more somber. So John, Jim
Yes.
Shooter, one of the icons of Marvel Comics and just just the comic books in general, he passed
Yes.
away at the age of 73. I know you're more familiar with his work and his legacy than I am.
Yes.
What are your thoughts on the passing of Jim Shooter and the legacy that he leaves behind?
Yeah, I think Jim Shooter, he's a very controversial figure in Marvel Comics, but he really shouldn't have been, I think. He did have some strange faults here and there, and that's maybe, you know, based on wrong accounts. I don't know. But he tried to do a lot of good for Marvel. He, brought the company to new heights. And then when he was unjustly fired, it tanked and it probably never ever reached those heights again. Um, you know, he started writing comics when he was a teenager and writing good comics too, and he worked his way up at Marvel and just became the editor in chief, and he you know was hated by everyone, yet he tried to work everyone. Like, the higher ups hated him because he was trying to protect the royalties of writers. He was trying to give them good pay. He was trying to give them the royalties. He was trying to give them good health insurance. And then all of the veterans that, like Roy Thomas and John Byrne, Gene Colan, and all these other guys, Marv Wolfman, who were kind of like cowboys at the time, that were like they had like egos about them, like, oh, we're like the best in the business. You can't be touched. When he's like, hey, this is also a business. You need to like hunker down and like actually deliver your books on time, because that was like the rampant delays and all this stuff. And he tried to, go against the status quo of comics as well. He tried to like he did have a bit of an ego to him. Like, he liked to see like certain stories certainly told his way and that kind of thing, which, it's depending on who you ask. And I think he definitely had a lot of forward thinking, a lot of progressive ideas, and he was the one that, even though they didn't care about him, he cared about the writers and artists and cared enough to try to give them proper royalties, because God knows that companies today don't do that. So it's a sad day that he passed away due to esophageal cancer. But I've seen Kurt Busiek, I've seen Mark Waid give him the, respect he kind of deserves, and he uh he was a good man from what it was. He tried to do the same thing with Valiant, Defiant, Broadway comics, all that, but he never really got that traction again, which is a bit of a shame. But yeah, he did great work. And the reason I wanted to spotlight him here, not because this is mainly film and TV, but we do talk about comics. But it is a shame that he never got to see the adaptation of Secret Wars, because he was the one that headed that big comic book crossover. He loved crossover. He did the Kovac saga, he did, Secret Wars, Contest of Champions. He loved those crossover comics, and it's sad that he will now never get to see the adaptation that the MCU is planning in 2027. So I did want to talk about that because, Secret Wars is going to be a big event, and he headed that, the original version at least. So, just wanted to spotlight that. And the comics industry has gotten a great loss, and it's a shame that he never got the deserved spotlight in his lifetime. So hopefully people will look back and see that he was definitely right, because he was. So
Yeah, well, I mean, hey, our thoughts and prayers with Jim Shooter's friends and family in this time of mourning, and of course, he leaves behind quite the legacy. And Marvel now, still at the top of the comic book world. But hey, we are here talking about DC, so let's keep going here. We do have a lot of news from the world of DC Studios, including, of course, James Gunn was recently being interviewed about obviously Superman doing the press junket, and he was asked like, "Hey, could we finally see Batman don the blue and gray costume in the DCU?" And he weighed in on it. I've got the quote here. Let me see if I can find it down in the article. This was he was talking to essentially. I think this is Sean from Cinema. Was it? Is it CBR or is it Cinema Blend? And he was asked like, "What do you think about this particular version of the costume?" Um, and he was open to the idea. He basically said, "Look, I wouldn't say no. He's a big enough of a fan of the blue and gray suit that he would give it some thought. Um, but he hasn't given it much consideration yet because obviously they haven't even got a full script. So I don't know if this is something that they're actually going to still well, actually they're thinking about it right now, right? But yeah, John, what do you think about this?
yeah, I mean, I think it would be great to see. It would be different. But obviously they haven't really been talked about it. But like, I think people are ready for the blue and gray at this point. Like, make it kind of like a very dark blue, maybe not like a bright blue. I would love to see the tried and true bright blue and gray. But yeah, I think I would love to see it that like nice dark blue, navy blue, because I think we're kind of ready for that, especially with Superman back in the trunks. Let's finally get Batman in blue and gray.
Yeah, yeah. I think blue and gray could work as long as it's stealthy. Like James Gunn still believes in the idea of a slightly more realistic version of Batman because he's fighting on the streets of Gotham. Not really. I mean, you got to make him a little more believable in that environment than Superman, who just flies around everywhere. So, navy blue potentially could work, like a slightly
Yeah.
darker palette. I think they tried to do it in the Flash version of the Batman suit, but I don't know. That obviously there's problems with that. We've talked about that in the past.
I don't know what they fucking tried to do with that Flash suit. Goddamn.
The yellow belt and logo, I don't know if that's coming back anytime soon, but we will have to see. Amanda Sam asking, what do you think about Gunn saying he might be arguing with a 12-year-old from India when it comes to arguing on social media? I don't personally see a problem with it, but the internet being the internet, they called him racist. Well, look, no, he has literally argued with 12-year-olds from India and like from everywhere else because they keep asking him questions. So I think this is the other thing that Liz would say. Look, he needs to just stay off the internet. Like he does way too much. And so every once in a while you're gonna get asked about something that obviously fans want to get an answer to, and there'll be fans who will really push for that. And I think James Gunn sometimes just takes the bait, and he just needs to kind of avoid that. He just needs to sort of like be like above it a little bit because clearly the internet is obviously full of people from all across the spectrum of opinions. So as is the world. I mean, that's what the internet is reflective of, and as long as James Gunn keeps consistent with what he believes is the best way forward for DC, it doesn't matter what other people think about it. So, I mean, we'll either like it or we won't like it. I don't think he's a racist. I think that's something that's been blown out of proportion. I certainly haven't seen it be picked up by any news outlets, so I don't think that's going to be a problem, Manos. But thank you for bringing that up for us to talk about. The Batman suit is going to be tricky, according to Marco Ramos, saying because he needs a suit that looks good in daylight. Exactly. That to me is the problem too, because look, for the most part, Batman does not fight a lot of crime during daylight, right? Like when The Dark Knight Rises came out, it was like the first time in Batman's cinematic history that they had a huge fight sequence with Batman fighting in daylight when he fights with Bane in the third act action sequence in front of City Hall, I should say. And since then, we have seen Ben Affleck's Batman be in daylight in The Flash. But even that seems like a rare opportunity. Most of the time we see Batman, like even in BVS, like, he's trying to get the kryptonite. It's in the dark of the night. So, yeah, I think making it look good in daylight will be something to worry about. But even then, I feel like most of the time we get to see Batman, whether it's in his own movies in the DCU or a crossover or a Justice League movie, we'll probably see him in nighttime situations or like indoors where like, you know, the costume works, or he won't be in his costume. So there you go. Dan and John raising Kane's chicken fingers. Yeah, what? I don't understand what that means. I'm not getting the reference, Steven. But anyway. Yeah, exactly. As long as James Gunn delivers and does not do stupid stuff, he's gonna be fine. That's what it comes down to. Yeah, exactly. Most of these Batman movies tend to take place in dark environments, like, you know, night, evening, or like a dark alley. But moving on from Batman, John,
I actually
Superman
have one
director
more
James.
thing. I'm
Sorry, go
sorry.
ahead.
I
Go
wanted
ahead.
to share my screen because, like, I
Yeah.
think in terms of the blue and gray, we did get something in the Flash in the background, and I think this, like, these were in the background. These were in the film, but they were not like directly shown. Something with the vibe of the one on the right. Hang on. That something like this on the right, like something.
Okay.
Like, not obviously not exactly like this because this is clearly like the 1989 suit, but with like blue and gray, but like something of this vibe of like, I think something like this, especially in a movie, maybe a little bit darker, would look fantastic. I think something like that would be great.
I personally still really like the new version in the comics they just introduced that is like just blue and black or blue and
Yeah.
gray. I think that works really well.
I
I don't
think
know
that's
about the
cool.
yellow because the yellow one is really hard to believe. Like Batman's supposed to be like stealthy. That yellow sticks
Well,
out like a
because the
sore
whole
thumb.
thing is like it's yellow because then they shoot gunfire because you notice it, you shoot gunfire towards it instead of his open mouth. So that's why it's yellow.
Theoretically, that's true, but also, I mean, come on, that can't be the only reason. Um,
It also
if
looks
that is
cool,
the only
Dan.
reason the yellow's in there, I think that's not the most justifiable reason. But I don't know. Who am I to know? I've never directed one of these movies. But it's a good shout though. I do like the design on the right more than the one on the left. So with that though, let's get back to talking about. I think we were going to move over to talk about The Authority next because James Gunn was also asked about The Authority because of course that movie, the last we heard, was at the press event earlier this year, and both Peter Safran and James Gunn were sort of coy about it. They were like, "Look, a lot of the same themes that were going to be in that movie have sort of been, transported into the narrative and the character of the engineer in the new Superman film. So it's not like they said it's shelved, but it's not moving really quickly. So recently he was asked about it again on how soon fans should expect the Authority movie. So of course we have, the engineer who's in the Authority in the comics traditionally. And the answer that James Gunn gave was, I just really like the engineer's power set and I like taking elements of the Authority story. She's a member of the Authority in the comics, and given those elements to Lex Luthor to really combine the Wildstorm and DC characters in the DCU. And I thought her power set was good to fight Superman. And then he was followed up in a follow-up question. He was asked more specifically about the Authority movie itself, to which James Gunn replied, "We could for sure. It could happen, as in, is the movie still happening?" And then he continued on saying, dodging the question somewhat, saying it's not something that's going especially quickly right now, but it would, or it could happen for sure. John, he said it could happen. He's not saying it will happen. It's not a matter of when. It feels like now this movie has become more a matter of if. I, for one, think this has something to do with David Zaslav probably walked in the door at one point. They had a conversation, and essentially what they talked about is probably the idea that you gotta feature these more popular characters. Like, I know you want to do the Authority, James. I know that's like your inkling is you want to bring these Wildstorm characters, exotic characters, as it were, like the lesser known ones. And sure, you can go ahead and do that with Creature Commandos, but like on the big screen, can we bring in some more surefire bets? That's my speculation. Nobody's told me this. This is completely me thinking. For all we know, it's actually just a matter of the ideas that they had for the Authority movie ended up in the Superman movie. So they're like, we don't want to be repetitive, and obviously they're trying to like rework the story. But I can't imagine that that it's going to take just I don't know, a few weeks, a few months to do that, especially because of how deep their backlog is, considering all the projects they have announced that they're working on and the new ones that we haven't even heard about.
At the same time, like
I just don't see it's a big.
that.
I don't see it as being a big priority.
Here's
is what
the
I'm
thing.
saying. You know,
I kind of believe that, but then at the same time, they're greenlighting a fucking Clayface movie, so it's like,
but it's a Mike Flanagan thing. You know,
okay, but like the
it's the
authority could
talent,
have some great
right?
talent behind it. Like, I don't know, it's just
Yeah, but it's not about it could. I mean, Mike Flanagan brought the script to them, right? It's that thing of they're trying to figure out a story. I'm sure if somebody came and pitched the idea of an amazing authority movie to James Gunn and Peter Safran, they might be like, yeah, go ahead, run with it, you know? So I don't know, John. It's do you think that is essentially what happened? Like the authorities a little too far out there, and so maybe they're
maybe
just prioritizing more well-known, more core DC characters for a while, or is
possibly.
it really just what they're saying is the ideas that they had for it have sort of ended up in Superman and other projects that are coming out sooner, so
Yeah.
they don't want to give us something that's repetitive. Although Apollo and Midnighter, I think, like are characters that are unlike most other characters we're going to see in the DCU, so I wouldn't mind seeing them. Yeah, I mean, John, your thoughts? Anything else to add there?
Yeah, that would definitely be interesting. I would definitely like that. So, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, maybe just introducing the Trinity and then branching off, like Frankie's saying, is the way to go. And it seems like certainly that's what they're doing. Like maybe the plan was to work on a Wonder Woman and Batman movie, but then obviously the Batman Brave and the Bold was announced in the initial slate, so I can imagine that those conversations maybe with David Zaslav and stuff were like, okay, let's prioritize those a bit more. What about Wonder Woman? Let's get that script up and running, because we went from like not having any Wonder Woman movie to we're writing it to, oh, it's gonna happen and it's moving pretty quickly. So I feel like they probably have fast tracked that Wonder Woman project, and maybe one of the not fatalities but uh collateral damage of the slight change in direction behind the scenes is the Authority film. And James Gunn, for his part, has already included a lot of the elements in the new Superman movie, so he's at least okay with the idea that those are, that the themes aren't going anywhere. That we're gonna get to see the engineer and the character probably will stick around after the first Superman movie too. So, yeah, no, I mean, look, we need more queer characters in comic books as a whole, and I bet you when they do the Authority movie, they're gonna embrace that more than probably any Marvel movie has done to this point as well. So I would love to see that because it can really bring more of that mainstream, inclusivity to those set of characters that we haven't seen before, done in live action at all. So anyway, um, this picture of Superman is pretty fantastic. It's from some of the promotional material, but the title in the article here says that James Gunn has indeed revealed new details on a spoiler role and why he cast Spoiler as the character. So I'm going to give you guys a warning. This has to do with Superman's parents, and it is confirmed. I know some of you guys already know about this, but just be forewarned before I scroll down that this is about some. If you guys don't want to spoil for you, either hit mute or look away.
They're
But
Pauly Shore and Amy Schumer. No, I'm just kidding.
but James Gunn confirmed, because he was literally asked, "What about Bradley Cooper as Jor-El?" in that press junket interview with another outlet, and he said, "Yeah, I mean, he confirmed it. Uh, Bradley Cooper is going to be playing the Man of Steel's biological father, his Kryptonian father, Jor-El, and we, of course, are going to get, as the other day we discussed, Angela Sarafian, who will portray Laura Larvan, the mother of James Gunn. This was while he was speaking to Extra. You can see there the clip from the interview. And I think when he talks about it, he talks about, look, he's worked with Bradley Cooper before and in the Guardians movies with Rocket Raccoon, so they're really familiar with working with each other. And it's not a big role, and I think for the most part, Bradley Cooper, it looks a lot younger than his actual age. So yeah, like in terms of playing a character where James Gunn wants somebody that looks like they're in his 30s. I feel like you can make Bradley Cooper look like he's in his 30s, right? John, what do you think now? It's pretty much confirmed from the man himself that indeed Bradley Cooper is going to be playing Superman's
Yes,
father,
I
Jor-El.
was fucking wrong. Thanks for that, James Gunn. Man.
There you go. Enterprising saying, I can see it. Frankie G saying, not feeling it. So was Liam Neeson busy? Yeah, he was busy. He was busy working on the Naked Gun movie. So
Yeah. And also, here's the thing. I will say,
yeah.
Bradley Cooper, he's what, in his like 40s now, maybe 50s. That's kind of the vibe that like James Gunn wanted to go for. He's 50. He just hit 50. And
Mhm.
he did say, he's like, I'm not like, she's like, as much as I love those movies, like Marlon Brando, that dude was like 60 when that movie came out. And it's
Mhm.
like, and they made him look even older. It's like, no way can this dude and this woman, who Susanna York, who played his mother, they're like, these fuckers are way too old to play like his parents, because it's like they're supposed to be like around the same age, and it's like Bradley Cooper still looks very good for his age. So I would say he looks probably maybe like in his like mid to late 40s at best. So I would be willing
Mhm.
to believe he and Angela Sarafian, who I've seen that picture of from Westworld, I'd be
Mhm.
willing to believe that those guys would recently give birth to a baby, more so than York and Brando from the original movie. So I will definitely give, because they always make Jor-El like way older. It's like like I
Well,
understand like
this
Al
is
Pacino and Robert De Niro just had babies too, but
yeah,
like
but
it's still like weird.
I think this is where I thought that the Russell Crowe Jor-El was much more believable, right? Like I thought that worked really well. So, um, yeah, I think this kind of lines up with that. Bradley Cooper doing that today, what Russell Crowe did now, what is it, like 12 years ago? 12 years ago, right? So it works for me. I think this is a good pick. I mean, obviously he's confirmed now. James Gunn is probably was thinking, look, secret is already kind of out because people have seen the first 30 minutes. It's going to come out anyway, so I might as well address it officially. That's kind of his policy. You know, he likes to get ahead of things as much as possible, wherever possible. So yeah, I mean, you might be saying he's leaking more than Tom Holland, all these secrets, but he's the one in charge, so he can do it. He's answering to himself on that front. So yeah, Brando's gear was fire in those movies, but again, I think he was a bit too old. I just heard like thunder
So he was
outside. Holy cow.
54
Um,
when so Brando was
yeah,
54 when that movie came out.
yeah,
However, the man looked like he was like 60, 65. Bradley Cooper, he's 50, but the man
he
looks like
looks
he could pass for 40.
he can.
So
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
just saying.
And again, I mean, like Enterprise was saying, they're aliens, right? So like certainly how they age might be different from how humans age. Like we don't, you can always kind of play that card as well. So, but yeah, Jor-El officially being played by Bradley Cooper, and of course Laura Van playing the mother of Superman will be Angela Sarafian. So with that, John, let's move on to the next clip here. Again, James Gunn, part of the junket. You could see each of these journalists get like 3 to 5 minutes to get their interview in. Kevin McCarthy was interviewing him and asking him specifically about the cinematography of Superman, you know, how the flying sequences were shot, John Murphy's
Like
and
he went super
score.
nerd on him, and James Gunn was like,
Yeah.
"Oh yes, finally, someone who knows what they're talking about." It was great, and plus,
Yeah.
I'm loving Kevin McCarthy. Hold on, if they switch back to him, yes, James Gunn's talking, but like if they switch back to him, I love the suit because he went with the blue suit and the red tie. I see what you're doing,
Yep.
Kevin. I appreciate that a lot.
I do appreciate that too. And what he was asked about, James Gunn, was it's mostly um like the technical aspects of filmmaking, right? Like working with is it Henry Chapman, the cinematographer that for this
I
movie, right?
think
And
so.
James Gunn mentioned that the two of them have worked. This is their fourth movie together, so he worked with him on the three Guardians movies, and they've kind of developed this like rig, which we've seen in all the behind the scenes photos, right? Like the rig that they developed, which they said that they used that even before it was used in Mandalorian and Grogu, or in the Mandalorian. I think it was the Mandalorian he mentioned. Or some of the other movies, you know, other big blockbusters that have filmed it using that kind of a rig where, like we talked about, you know, it's like the sensor unit of the camera separated from the processing unit. And so it gives them much more room and much more flexibility to get closer up to the actors because you're not carrying this huge camera rig that needs to be mounted on some kind of gear, or it's really heavy to carry around with you as a camera operator, or having multiple camera operators. Not only that, but James Gunn said, look, Henry Braham is the name of the cinematographer. Thank you, Manus Time, for correcting me on that. So yeah, this will be their fourth movie together. And then James Gunn also talked about how they shot the flying scenes. They mentioned that the flying scenes in this movie are not shot like they've been shot in the past, because even for Adam Warlock, he was kind of frustrated because it was mostly you know, like you have the actor on the pitchfork, you know, there you go, there's the suit on the pitchfork that we have seen, like, you know, they're kind of like hanging off of that so they can do all the various movements and stuff on a green screen set, and then the camera is usually like on the ground somewhere. But in this case, they actually put Henry Bam like on a pitchfork or like wires as well, So the camera was moving around in the air around around David Cornsweet. And so they got these more dynamic flying shots, which you've seen in the trailer. Like you get to see Superman flying from different angles in ways that we haven't seen before. And if you go off of what James Gunn is talking about here, then maybe a lot more of that flying is, actually from the footage they shot in camera as opposed to just being a CGI double. I know they will have CGI doubles in a lot of places, but I mean, we've seen in the trailers the Superman flying in this movie, they get right in a way that we haven't quite seen before. And then to kind of make the effect even more realistic, James Gunn talked about how in the past he has seen, like, in movie, even in Man of Steel, you saw this, right? And then Zack Snyder's way of dealing with it was, by the time we got to BVS, was he slicked Superman's hair back. But like essentially, you see somebody flying in the air like faster than the speed of sound, and the hair is just like doing this like woof woof, as James Gunn described, where it's not really moving as much as it would if you were actually flying as fast as these characters usually are. And so they did do that differently as well, to try to obviously do as much as they could in camera. But you can't blow air in somebody's face without them being like, their face starts to warp as a result of that. So they did the hair effects in post with VFX, which you can see. I just actually noticed that early on. I was like, Superman's hair is way more dynamic in these flying sequences than what we have ever seen before, or any flying sequence. Like, even with Man of Steel, like you could tell like Henry Cavill's hair would move, but not nearly as much as we have seen in this. So James Gunn talking about all of that, being Top Gun Maverick inspired. It's just, Henry Bram and him working on their fourth movie together. They've got this like this language that they use with each other, and a shorthand, which is always fun to see, because you see that with filmmakers like Christopher Nolan, like Steven Spielberg. They work with the same director of cinematography over and over again because it just makes the job that much easier. So, John, what do you think about James Gunn just describing all of those things, whether it's the flying sequences and all of that other stuff, even the music he talked about too? What do you think?
Yeah, I think it's great that he's like highlighting the specific aspects that you don't really think about, I guess.
Yeah.
That at least a general audience doesn't think about, but like people who are into like the cinephile-ness of it all, the technical side, I think this is a great listen to, and I think this is a great thing to hear, and it shows that, hey, wow, this guy actually knows what he's talking about. That's crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah, I liked it a lot. I liked what he was saying here.
Absolutely. Me too. Love it. Love seeing this. Manus, I'm asking, do you guys think as a duo, this Jor-El and Laura Van casting is the most popular? Sure, we had popular Jor-Els and more award-winning ones too, but this time I feel like I can say I know both. Well, here's the thing. Bradley Cooper is still way more popular than, what's her name? Sarafian? We were just talking about this. Angela Sarafian. I think Angela Sarafian is known enough, but certainly not like an A-lister or even a B-lister, because unless you're a fan of Westworld, you probably haven't seen much of her. Bradley Cooper, on the other hand, very much in line with like a Russell Crowe or Marlon Brando of his time. So it's a great duo. I wouldn't argue that Angela Sarafian is like any more popular than the other actresses before, but I guess she has more acting pedigree. But then again, I don't know as much about the other actresses in the past and what they have done outside of Superman. So I'll just leave it at that. I mean, for the time being, I just think the approach here is pretty similar overall and stays in line with what they've done in the past with Superman's parents, the Kryptonian parents, that is. Yes, though, but physics, is also a thing that is the same no matter where you are. So you can only take that he's the Kryptonian argument so far. And of course we know the Superman bleeds. His hair feels like human hair. So yeah, I mean, unless he's got like
stronger human hair to maybe
doesn't
the follicles keep his hair like just like it's like a sign for,
I know.
Yeah, but like maybe the follicles like make his hair like way stronger. Meanwhile, the pussy David Cornsweet James Gunn version, he has to have his hair move. That shows he's a bitch weak boy pussy. Like something like that.
I also hope, Frankie G, that Roger Deakins eventually does a DC movie, because that man is one of the best DPs of his time, and he's still working. And I would love to see him do a DC movie. It just depends on the project, right? Because he's selective and he works with a certain few directors, so it will just be a matter of if all the stars line up. So more pitch perfect casting by James Gunn with Angela Sarafian and Bradley Cooper as James Gunn's not James Gunn's Superman's parents. But anyway, all right. Yeah, Enterprising appreciates the humor, John. With that, let's move on to the next thing. Talking about the movie itself, Rachel Brosnahan was mentioning how this Superman feels more hopeful and like the Superman that we need right now, and mentioning that there's not as much comedy. Like this movie doesn't feel as much like a comedy as it does feel like a hopeful, uplifting movie. And this is kind of similar to what Lex Luthor himself, Nicholas Holt, said yesterday. Remember that clip that we talked about when he was talking about, when he was mentioning like how did you shave your hair on the Today Show, and he mentioned that it's he gave his sons some clippers, and the older son kind of like shaved his head, and his older son hasn't seen the movie yet, but he's really excited for both of his sons to see the film. And he mentioned in that interview that when you watch this movie, because Nicholas Holt has seen the movie, David Cornsweet hasn't seen the movie, so there's still a mix of some people have, some people haven't, but Nicholas Holt's take was it feels really uplifting. It makes you want to like go and do good things when you leave the theater. It's the Superman we need right now, especially considering what's going on in the world. And it seems like Richard Brosnahan agrees with that sentiment, saying in an interview with comicbook.com that it feels hopeful rather than explicitly comedic to me. One of the things I love about so many of James Gunn's movies is that they're a real shot in the arm of hope. They remind you that the reason people love comic books is because they teach us that superheroes aren't the only superheroes, and that this is the Superman that we need right now. So I do love that. I absolutely love it. Again, very much in line with kind of like the Christopher Reeves version. It seems iconic. It seems like again the right fit for the right time. I know Enterprising, you brought this up earlier, and so we finally got it on the show. Trust us, we always get to it. It just takes time sometimes because it's such a long show. All right, PLO. I get it. I get your point. Yeah, I mean, look, Rachel is not touching on politics here. She's just saying, look, this feels like the right kind of movie. The film's optimistic message is powerful, and it's a necessary contribution to the comic book movie landscape. Like we are living in a time where comic book movies in general have been going through a period of mediocrity, and also like we've seen a lot of movies like have that really dark stance on the world, like obviously what the DCEU was and what people didn't like about it. Even the MCU to a certain degree hasn't quite hit on all cylinders, but we love hearing these kind of reactions. And of course these are the actors in the movies saying this, so there's a certain level of like duh, like why would you talk down a movie that you are a part of? And Richard Brosnan's on the world tour, all like going to every corner of the globe over the next couple of weeks, so of course she would talk highly of the movie because it's part of her job. What did I just put on the screen there? PLO, calm down. I think you meant to say Hancock, but anyway. John Campia did say people aren't getting used to a superhero movie with an earnest tone, so I don't know how much word of mouth. Well, here's the thing though, Elite Easy. I think this movie, if it's good, people will get the word of mouth out there, and it will have a 2-week runway to make a lot of money, and also hopefully people will keep coming back to it after Fantastic Four comes out even. So it's just going to be a matter of like how good this movie is, and ultimately it has to stand on its own 2 legs. Or in the case of Crypto, on 4 legs. Okay, I see what you mean. You did not mean that negatively. I got you, Enterprising. Yeah, exactly. Unless it's Madame Web, people will never talk down on their own movies. And even Madame Web, like it looks like she waited for a whole year before she started talking about it, Dakota Johnson. But we all hope this is a great movie. We all hope it outperforms expectations. But so far the actors in the movie have seen the film. Even as fans of the franchise, as fans of Superman, they're excited about it. So I think that's usually a good thing. It's a good omen, at least. So with that, John, moving on to the next thing, James Gunn was overcome with emotion when he was describing how Jerry Siegel's grandson's reaction that he got when he showed them the Superman script. He said we had to invite them over to the offices of DC Studios, and they could read the scripts, on site, because of course it's under tight security. And after they read the script, they were just effusive, according to James Gunn. They were like, "This is the Superman movie we've been waiting to see. Our grandfather would have been so proud." And then James Gunn was like, "That just meant a lot." And you could see his voice kind of cracks up, and he's like, "Yeah, that was one of those really, really amazing moments for him." I know one of you guys mentioned earlier about Jerry Siegel would have appreciated what we were getting with this Superman. So are both Joe Shuster and Jerry Siegel. So here we go. I mean, James Gunn actually got the Siegel grandsons involved in this. He's also, of course, keeping the Reeves family involved in this. So he's keeping the traditional and heritage of Superman alive. John, what are your thoughts on this? The fact that James Gunn values the input of Jerry Siegel's grandsons, I think that's pretty unique, don't you think?
Yeah, I definitely believe that. I think that's great. You know, I think obviously they have to like be nice about it. Like, so who
Mhm.
knows if that was their real thoughts. I hate to be a negative Nancy, but like I'm just saying that could be the case, but I think they do mean that. I think they do say like, yeah, this would have been a great movie and they would have liked it if they were here today. And I think that means a lot to what this means for this movie, this character in this world. So yeah, I think
Yeah.
that's really awesome.
Yeah. Oh, that Full House promo, man. Don't get me started figure drawing. We saw that thing like 20 times. Holy cow, it was good. I haven't seen that quote from Wendell Pierce about a potential sequel yet, though, Manos, but I'll keep an eye out for that. But yeah, I mean, it's great to see that, showing the script to Jerry Siegel's son, obviously grandsons, like keeping them involved in the loop. Maybe they'll be invited to the premiere as well. That would be great. Now, all right, we did mention earlier in the show when we were talking about Superman how Nathan Fillion kind of and why am I forgetting the name of the actor who's
Beck
playing
Bennett.
Steve Lombard? Beck Bennett. They both kind of missed the photo shoot from the rest of the cast, so they just did their own. It seems like they were like, sure, why not? We'll do our own thing, just the two of them. But then later on, I think
It is indeed very sweat, Marco Ramos.
Yes.
Very sweat.
Yep. But later on, like, there was Nathan Fillion doing a This or That Canada Day edition. Of course, it was Canada Day on July 1st when we started the show. Now it's July 2nd because, we were kind of past the midnight hour. But yeah, Ron from Canada was celebrating happy, Canada Day to everybody. It's a celebration of an amazing country with amazing people, including Nathan Fillion. And it looks like while he was doing this promo record, everybody from the cast and James Gunn himself surprised him on set, including a cake, which is great. This looks fun. I mean, again, the whole crew just enjoying themselves. So, yeah. John, what did you think about? He said like David Cornsey was complaining about how heavy the cake was, which is kind of ironic considering it's Superman.
I think
yeah.
that's pretty awesome. Yeah.
Yep.
I think that's it would be really funny if they did like the same thing but like reverse, but for Nicholas Hoult. Like for like 4th of July. Like they like Nicholas Hoult is like just like acting like maybe not an asshole, but like he's just like, oh, Lex Luthor is superior, I'm British, and then just David Cornsweet just comes with like an American flag, and they're all just pumping USA, and then they dump tea on him, and then and like go see Superman.
I don't know how well that would go with considering the climate in the U.S. right now, the political climate. But you know what? I wouldn't mind.
I just think that would be funny. It's
yeah, the Superman cast is in Canada. Not Canada.
And they definitely
London
didn't film this
today.
on Canada days because David
No,
Cornsweet
clearly
still has hair.
Clearly, this was shot like back when they did all the rest of the promotion work for this. So, is it a kryptonite cake? I don't know.
It would be funny if like it was a yellow cake because like inside they cut open it's yellow because my greatest weakness, because if you remember way back when in the Silver Age, the greatest weakness for Green Lantern was the color yellow. So yeah.
Well, hey, as far as as far as Canada Day goes, Nathan Fillion simply said merci beaucoup for the cake, which is which is not Canadian, it's French, for thank you very much. And with that, John, we're gonna move into the London part of the world tour for Superman, because yes, indeed, they were in London today, and we haven't got everything from what they shared about their London trip, because some of the red carpet stuff and all that we'll get into later.
It's a lot, and
it is.
It's 2:30 in the morning.
We're running on 3.5 hours as is. Like, it's just a lot. No, actually, David Cornsweet is from Philly, but if you're talking about Joe Shuster and Jerry Siegel, Joe Shuster was Canadian, right?
Yeah.
But Superman was created in Cleveland, was it? Like they were working in Cleveland when they created it, and Metropolis was kind of based on the cities in Ohio. Um, okay, I don't know about. Okay, let's talk about the Look Up London, John, because they kind of hung up the statue of Superman on the Shard, which is one of the most iconic, recognizable buildings in all of London. I think they actually show this building in that show, The Agency, quite a bit, which is about like the CIA field office in London. But you can see from a distance even Superman in his iconic pose, one of the poses that they've been marketing a lot for the movie. And it's not a real Superman, but he certainly looks like it from afar. Definitely the costume we're going to see in the movie. Not to mention, if you're not satisfied with the photos, they did post a video. London, look up. This was the start of the day, and the chopper that they shot this with also has Daily Planet branding, so it's completely on point. All the marketing, again, they're just getting all the details right. The devil is in the details, and they quite frankly have found the devil and just held on to him for this entire marketing campaign, John. And then, of course, we got the photos from the crew, because indeed Nicholas Hoult did join them on this trip. He, of course, is British himself, so why not make the trip to London alongside Rachel Brosnahan and David Cornsweet? You see the Daily Planet chopper in the background. Maria Gabriela de Faria commenting on it, saying, "I love them. This is a closer look at very much David Cornsweet likeness of Superman. That whole statue held up by wires." And these guys got a chance to take a look at the skyline of London, of course. Lots of fun with Superman binoculars. Your thoughts on this whole, I guess you can call it a marketing stunt, but it looks great. Certainly brightens up the skyline in London. What do you think?
Oh yeah, this is awesome.
Yeah.
I love this image. I love all the images. I like the Superman the Superman statue or balloon, whatever the fuck it is, like on tripwires or whatever.
Yeah.
That's just great to see. A lot of fun. I love just the showcase of it all. Looks like it's gonna be great.
Speaking of London, George has just joined us. Morning, guys. Well, hello and happy morning to you, George. Of course, Superman in London right now. So, you let us know if you got a chance to check out some of the marketing that they've been doing. We do have a little more to go. Is that Tom Cruise hanging out in the building? No, not Tom Cruise, but close enough. Close enough. Is it a bird? Is it a plane? It's Tom Cruise. No, it's Superman. George said I was there yesterday. Took some nice pics, got my paper, and saw Gunn later at HMV to sign my paper. Yes, we are going to talk about the HMV signing too. And George, if you have those photos and you want to share those, just drop into our DMs on Instagram. Find us at o_so_curious and let us know what you think. Or if you want to drop in a comment down below, we'd love to hear more about your experience. He says he got a free mug out of it as well. That is awesome, man. I would love to get one of those. I know John paid for his Superman mug. George got one for free, John. Look at that. The marketing is fire. Indeed it is. And speaking of the HMV signing, where James Gunn was at the Q&A session that George actually went to, this was the advertising for that. HMV Oxford Street in London on Tuesday, July 1st at 6 p.m. local time. So clearly George was a part of that, and he got himself a free mug out of it. Definitely. If you want to share the photos, again, it's up to you. Only if you feel comfortable sharing those photos, we'll bring them into the show. We'd love to hear from you, because of course we want to get that on the ground experience of the Superman World Tour and all the marketing that they're doing. And I'm so happy that you got to see James Gunn and be a part of that Q&A session. So that is awesome, George, and we love that you're part of the chat here watching the show. But John, the fans are excited for Superman in London. And if you are one of those fans who got to walk around the Shard, you could have picked up your own copy of the Daily Planet below the Shard building, because they set up a whole newsstand with these newspaper copies. Look up at Superman. There's some new merchandise there as well. It's right by the Shard. It looks like the Daily Planet globe in the background from the movie. You see a little bit of Jimmy Olsen in the video playing on a screen there. That looks great. That looks great. So, is George in the industry? I don't know. I mean, well, George lives in the UK, lives in London, so that's probably how he got a hold of that. But John, would you care to read what's hidden inside the pages of that edition of the Daily Planet? Look up at Superman. I can imagine, because some of the writing that they do for this, like they've got the newsletter going. There's actually a Lex Luthor story that we'll get into tomorrow, which looked really fantastic too. We couldn't get a chance to do that. Yeah, it is a great replica, and I mean, this is also a good omen because maybe they still have paper, like the newspaper stands in the movie too, which would be kind of old school. But yeah, I would love to see that. Tom Cruise would learn to fly for the love of cinema. He already knows how to fly. Well, actually, you mean like fly himself? Well, yeah, he probably would do that if he was given enough time and money, which I'm sure he has no shortage of. But John, the last thing I wanted to get into today is they're just kind of turning this into a meme now. Eyes up here, and then he just flies into the sky, and you could probably just put this on loop as I have here. The summer of Superman is heating up, clearly scorching. It's scorched Superman's suit, but we can't wait to see this movie. I know one of our viewers is having a baby around this time, and he's like, I have to kind of figure out what my plans are going to be because I don't know if I'm going to be in the hospital. Somebody just got engaged around this time, and they were like, 11 days from the Superman coming out. What good timing it was. I mean, it's just great. It's great. Eyes up here sounds so exactly the way he says it with his deep voice, David Cornsweet, it does sound pretty badass. And you know what, George? Yeah, if you're happy to share, we'd love to bring that into the show. Where can I send the photos to? So you can find us on Instagram. I'm going to type in our handle. It's if you are on Instagram, that is. So it's O_so_curious. You can also drop it into our email. Let me see if I can get you the email address, because if that's easier for you, of course, you can go to info@osocurious.com. So those are both places that you can do that. Which, if you can't find that email, I think there's a form that you can submit through on osocurious.com, so you can get down there as well. So feel free to do that. Any of you guys, if you want to share your experiences with Superman marketing, merchandise, if you've got a chance to attend one of the events and you would like to share that, in the show, we would definitely be happy to bring that in. And then we'll set up a Discord channel before the movie releases. We have a few days, and I'm already starting work on it so that we can share some stuff in there and enjoy the conversation there. So I know that's been a requested feature for a long time. John, it looks like Man of Time sent you some photos of yesterday's Superman screening. Did you get a chance to look? Oh, Dan. Oh, okay. This is the Instagram account.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't have my socials.
I'm gonna
on
go
here.
look through those. I didn't have a chance to look through them today. I'm gonna go through those. So I will go find those Man of Time, and then I will bring those into the show. So we'll bring that in tomorrow. Thank you for the heads up there. So I will go back and dig through those. But yeah, if you guys want to follow us on Instagram, it's O_so_curious. And then if you want to email us, info@osocurious.com, and that way, if you want to share photos, obviously keep it friendly. We're not asking for spam, but please send us your experiences, because we will have a busy week next week, and we'll share our experience with watching Superman. We're going to review the movie, and we're going to talk about what you guys think about it, and we'd love to hear from you if you are at any one of the Superman World Tour locations, including right now London, then Paris. Then they're coming over to the US, going all the way to LA, then get back to New York, then going over to Beijing. So yeah, they've got a lot of airplane miles to build up on their bodies. John and I, though, have been building a lot of miles just being on the stream. We are coming up on almost 4 hours today. So with that, we're going to wrap up today's show. That's all we've got for you guys. But we do have more saved up for tomorrow. Some of your ideas, some of the stuff that we couldn't fit on today's show. It looks like Man of Time did get to see the first 30 minutes of the movie and loved it. So yeah, we're going to hopefully be able to talk about it more once we get to the past review embargo on Monday. So yeah, we are tired. We are sleepy. We are tired. I'm gonna try to get that book. I don't know about John, but I will definitely try to get that book. But until tomorrow, guys, it's been another fantastic show. The movie feels unapologetically comic booky, like you said. Man of Time, David Cornsweet kills it, and Superman as Superman, and they can't wait to see more. That seems to be the constant theme in all the feedback. George already sent us the photos. Monique is saying good night. I do believe in Joe Hendry, but I guess Tokyo's not on the tour list for this time around. Maybe Superman 2. All right. Okay. That's all. We're going to bring you guys another fantastic show tomorrow. More talk about Superman. We're probably gonna have more trailers to react to, hopefully. And yeah, Jurassic World comes out, so there's that. And then Ironheart wrapped up this run. We're going to talk about that and so much more. Until then, as always, have a great rest of your morning, evening, afternoon, and night, wherever you are. Hit subscribe if you're new. We're here 5 days a week. Hit the notification bell. And of course, don't forget to hit the like button on the way out. John, as always, thank you so much. We're going to hit the hay. And you guys, just remember, don't forget to look up.